So the governor of New Mexico, she banned guns last week, and a judge ruled, yeah, you can't do that. So, like any tyrant trying to rule by decree, she has now issued a narrow public order that recognizes and respects the judge's ruling. But this new order banned guns in places where families or children may gather. Yeah, she's still trying to ban guns. And you've got the media being like, she's narrowed the ban and lifted it. No, she didn't. You can argue that she's narrowed the decree, but she is trying to, this is what Cuomo did. When the courts were like, you can't shut down churches, he goes, okay, here's a new executive order for another reason we can shut down churches. Sue me. Because now we have to keep going to court over and over and over again, even though she knows she's lost these people out of their minds. We got really big news today, and it's crazy. Not surprising, though, because it's Friday, and they want to bury a lot of stories. 3 men who are charged with attempting to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer have been acquitted on all charges. Yeah, it was a hoax. We got the special prosecutor, special counsel trying to gag order Donald Trump. And then we got this crazy video. You've got people in New York protesting Ocasio-Cortez because of the illegal immigrants. And she's yelling over them being like, don't worry, once we give them all work visas, it will be better. And then they just yell louder. Yeah, she's totally out of her mind. We'll talk about that, but before we get started, head over to timcast.com, click in the menu bar, Timcast IRL X Miami, or the link in the description below. Come to our Miami event. We hope to see you there. We're going to have a whole bunch of special guests, but October 6th at 6 p.m., we got Tim Pool, Luke Rutkowski, your hosts, with Patrick Bet-David, Donald Trump Jr., Matt Gaetz, and of course, the whole Timcast crew is going to be there, and a whole bunch of other people are showing up. I don't know if I should shout out who's going to be there just yet, because we're still waiting, but I kind of don't want to, but I think Alex Stein's gonna show up.
I'm gonna be there. Pimp on a Blimp is gonna be in Miami with my thong bikini. So if you guys want to see it. Tug friendly.
I don't know anymore. Maybe.
Please, Tim. It's tug friendly. This is gonna raise your ESG score.
All right. Well, but there's maybe in like a few days we'll bring out the full list of special guests, and there's probably gonna be a few people who jump up on stage, people you know and love, prominent individuals in journalism, on good journalism, and other personalities. So definitely check that out. But also click join us, become a member, because get this, even though we don't do the uncensored shows on Friday, as a member you get access to the members only uncensored shows Monday through Thursday, every day, Monday through Friday, in the Timcast members Discord servers. The members host another after show. So there's the After Dark show Monday through Friday. And that means on Friday, if you want to discuss the show, its contents with other like-minded individuals, sign up today, join the Discord, and you can hang out and get another entire podcast because our members are super cool and they literally just talk about this stuff. So I hope you join and become friends. You can follow the show at Timcast IRL, smash the like button, subscribe, share it, all that good stuff. We got a bunch of really awesome people hanging out. Obviously, Alex Stein's already here.
Pimp on a Blimp. Thank you for having me, Tim. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Ashley St. Clair's here.
Hello. I'm back. They let me back in.
I'm assuming everybody already knows who both of you are, but I don't know if you wanted to...
Well, I do want to shout out. I'm Ashley St. Clair. I work at the Babylon Bee, and I'm the author of a quote-unquote anti-trans children's book, Elephants Are Not Birds. You should check it out. But the Babylon Bee also has a new book out, Our Guide to Gender. So
right on.
And I'm Primetime Alex Stein. I have a show on Blaze TV called Primetime with Alex Stein, and I have a pro-trans book. A penis can be a vagina is what my book is called.
We're working on coffee for Alex. We are. A signature. It's going to be. I think it's called Alex Stein Primetime Grind. 2 times caffeine.
Primetime Grind, extra caffeine, because I know you guys need it for work. We all need it for work. We're tired. You're going to drink some of this caffeinated Java, and you're going to feel great, and it's going to give you that clean high, not the Hunter Biden fentanyl high that you're used to with Folgers.
Well, it's an upper, not a downer. Yeah. But so we got Phil Labonte hanging out.
How you doing? I'm Phil Labonte, lead singer of All That Remains, anti-communist and counter-revolutionary. Ian?
Do you caffeinate, Alex, before some of your iconic news conferences where you step in?
I mean, yeah, I'm addicted to Diet Coke, so yeah, I mean,
rock and roll, baby.
Coffee.
I heard a rumor that the grind is going to come with a free prescription for Adderall as well.
Yes, you get Adderall and fentanyl.
You don't.
Legal. It's a prescription. It's from a doctor.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we're giving away anything illegally.
Bro, I'm just trying to sell some coffee over here.
Now he's an Adderall dealer. No free Adderall.
Ian's here, of course.
Of course, yes.
And Serge is pressing the buttons.
I am pressing buttons. We're all in now. Let's go for it.
Let's go. We got this story from Santa Fe, New Mexican. Governor alters public health order, ending gun ban in Albuquerque area. Talk about a garbage lie of a headline. Because what does it actually say? First of all, they bury it. A week after declaring a public health emergency, blah, 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 is an announcement of the changes during a news conference, blah, blah, blah. And then you go all the way down, and it actually says that She added, the ban on carrying firearms, open or concealed, will remain in place at parks and playgrounds where families and children gather. That is to say, she is issuing a new order to bypass the courts, trying to still ban guns. You can't do it. But she's trying. We're winning. Impeachment. Absolutely.
Charge this person.
Impeach, convict, indict, prison.
I don't know if is this enough of a reason to impeach a sitting governor for trying to make an...
Yep.
Yes.
Then do it. Do it. This is number 2. Strike 2. You're going to let this woman strike out?
She's intentionally trying to violate constitutional rights, and she continues. So now this is the second attempt. So impeach her. Just start the process. Get her out of there.
But it's a Democrat trifecta state. It's never going to happen.
Fair enough. I don't think that there's going to be success.
That's why she's doing it.
Yeah. Because she's insulated, which is a problem, which speaks to a problem that we have in the country, that if your party does something wrong, we just ignore it. If your party or if your opposing party even comes close to stepping on the line, then you have to throw the book at them, which is a massive problem in a liberal society.
Well, I think what it highlights is that we think we can fix all these problems at a federal level. When COVID showed you that when you fight it at a lower level, even the state level, that's actually where you make change. Now, I'm not saying that she should be able to supersede the Constitution, but this is why it's so important to, I mean, we care about the president, but it actually matters who your governor is. It matters who your mayor is. So, I mean, for me, I think it just kind of shows you how the smaller level of politics is almost more important, because these people aren't going to follow rules. They're going to do whatever they want. So it's really important you put people that are actually making the decisions for your state that you like. But she's ruining New Mexico.
This is something that we talk about on the show a lot, is how important local politics are.
I got to be honest. I think the voters have ruined New Mexico.
Yeah, that's fair.
Although maybe they've tried to poison the country, but this is an inoculative success, in my opinion.
I mean, there's the argument that when they make power grab moves, it is bad for us no matter what. It's not a victory. Like Kyle Rittenhouse was not a victory. The fact they put him over the coals and all that stuff is a loss. And I'm like, yes, in this instance, though, I wonder if it actually is a victory in that you're watching the feeble, pathetic nature of, Democrat decree. It is powerless and impotent, and they tried and failed and are being mocked for it, and it's actually hurt them. So I think this is a victory, and it's almost like, she made this move, slipped on a banana peel, landed in a bunch of dog crap on the ground, and everyone's laughing at her for it. And she's getting going like, no, you can't laugh at me. And then she slips again. And we're just like, wow, this is hilarious.
Well, I think she likes the publicity, but I mean, honestly, a lot of this is Jesse Pinkman and Walter White's problem. If they wouldn't have made all that crystal meth in New Mexico, I don't think we'd have this problem.
Yeah, they gave Albuquerque a bad name.
They gave Albuquerque a bad name.
It used to have like Southwestern salsa with like corn in it. Now it's meth.
You'd go to Schlotzsky's, get the Albuquerque turkey, and now it's just a
what is it called?
Albuquerque turkey. It's delicious on the sourdough bread, turkey, lettuce, tomato.
Where?
Southwest
Schlotzsky's?
Schlotzsky's is a sandwich shop.
Yeah, I know. But that's not based on New Mexico. They have those in Chicago.
No, but I'm saying they have the Albuquerque turkey. It's one of their signature sandwiches. My point being it was a bad joke, but New Mexico is and Netflix is in New Mexico now. I wonder if that has
with their headquarters.
Yeah, or they have a big studio
really?
There. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Schlotzsky's is based in Texas.
It's so good.
Yeah, Schlotzsky's is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Schlotzsky stream.
They got like Rubens. Right?
Yeah. Oh, dude, they have a real. I love
the Albuquerque turkey. You say.
Albuquerque.
How has this turned into an ad for Schlotzsky's? I haven't had Schlotzsky's in like 20 years.
Yeah, the Netflix has 8 sound stages at the Albuquerque studios.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
So what are you saying?
Well, it's just kind of turned into liberal Hollywood-esque. I guess.
Oh,
so they want to try to
right,
make it like that. But this governor, see, that's the thing, is she's realizing she's getting clicks and she's getting a lot of heat from it. They like heat, Tim. They don't care if it's bad publicity. There's no such thing.
I think she looks foolish. She had even Democrats like Ted Lieu coming out.
Yeah, Ted Lieu.
I think she understands she looks foolish, which is why she's doubling down. But what's interesting is she cites increased gun deaths as the reason for doing this, and now you can't have them at public parks or anywhere where children are. But I just looked up their stats. It says on average 33 children and teens die by guns each year in New Mexico. 49% of those are suicides. So I don't know what she expects to accomplish by banning them in parks.
Didn't she specifically say nothing? Because she said that she didn't expect criminals to stop carrying guns.
Yeah.
She said that in an interview, actually articulated that. So it's intentionally aimed at law-abiding citizens who are not going to actually be inclined to break the law.
And why are they so obsessed with making everywhere our children go gun-free zones and making them targets for
It's an excuse.
tragedy?
All it is an excuse. It is not, that has nothing to do with child safety and everything to do with this will get the soccer moms scared for their kids and we will get support this way. Because Karen doesn't want little Tommy to get shot. That's it. It's all just to pull on people's emotions.
Well, to what Ashley said, though, you know how a lot of the gun deaths are suicide. So I have a way that we can actually decrease gun violence. We just need to adopt Canada's plan of medically assisted suicide. And then if we just give out free suicides, there'd be less gun violent suicides.
We could always get the
Canada, your hip hurts, we can euthanize you.
I was thinking of the bullet train that they're trying to build in California. That seems to work in Japan. So people jump in front of the bullet train all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Oh,
Japan. That's what
goodness.
Logan Paul, the suicide
There's
force.
Japan, and actually Japan's suicide is higher than the United States, and they have no guns. So the idea that getting rid of guns is going to stop suicides, that's not.
I think it's mental health. Most of it is, I mean, it stems from mental health, at the very least, school shootings, particularly. A lot of SSRIs and stuff that, like crazy chemicals, talk about Adderall earlier, like amphetamines on like 12, 13, 14-year-olds that don't have a dad around to kind of help them learn how to navigate their rage. That's a lot of this.
Well, and that's the point. If she actually cared about ending gun deaths, maybe she should address that 49% of them are stemming from some sort of mental health crisis.
Well, and Ian, what you said, you made a really good point.
I think they all are.
Well,
But I just want to say this, Ian, like you just said, I don't even think it's all about race or class, which that is a big important factor, but it comes down to if you don't have a parent, if you grew up without a dad, if you grew up without a mom, I think that's really the reason
Mostly
why.
a dad.
You're mostly a dad.
Yeah, we talked about this on the Culture War show this morning, that single-parent father homes have lower rates of criminal activity and drug abuse. Single-parent mother homes have higher rates. And so we don't exactly know why, but when the dad's when the dad's not around, you will get a child you will higher
Well,
rates.
we know why, because the dad's not beating the kid's ass when he does bad.
But not even necessarily that. There's obviously the data shows that a father figure provides something. But my response was, I got to be honest. I feel like a kid who grows up without a mom probably has more emotional issues.
Yeah,
Maybe emotionally cold, callous, stunted, more so than you'd expect from someone else. But we don't track that because we're not as concerned in the immediate with the emotional and social development of the kid. We're more concerned with the order of
the
it.
behavior itself. And that's the lashing out. Like the dad's the one, not always the one that's going to smack you down. I'm not saying physically violent, obviously, but for whatever reason, the disciplinarian tends to be the male. Not always. My mom is the disciplinarian in my family.
I don't know if that's true, actually. I think the disciplinarian is the
Yeah,
the
I'm
mom.
talking about things that aren't congruent with my family life. My dad was like the liberal artist, and my mom was the one who was always around and was like, hell no, you're not. Put it down. And then the look where like, I'm
just
going to lose all
imagining
my
like
privileges. if I-
Ian's holding a fork and slowly moving it towards a power outlet. She's like, stop, put it down. He's like, a little closer. And she's like, no.
I wouldn't even get that close. You get one chance in that family. That was a hard disciplined family.
Reminds me of when like you see those videos where the cat is looking at the owner and just slowly knocking the jar towards the edge of the table, like it's coming to do it. And you're
that's
like,
what my toddler does.
That's what my cat Kyle does. He'll look at me, and when he's mad or something, he'll just knock something off a table to get my attention. And he'll do it when I'm looking at him.
Does your toddler make eye contact with you while he's at it now? Or is he
Oh
more
yeah.
interested in that?
Oh yeah. He knows. He'll point at something he's not like an outlet and go no. Go no. He knows. But they seek out danger and death.
Yeah, but anyway, the bigger picture here is let this lady have her 15 minutes of infamy. I think she's embarrassing the Democratic Party, and I'd be honest, I feel kind of like you couldn't ask for this kind of publicity in the inverse, right? When you get David Hogg coming out and agreeing with you, that's all you need. Now you can run campaign ads being like, David Hogg says there is no exception for the Constitution and defends Second Amendment rights and stuff like
That's
that.
amazing.
Yeah, forever.
That's amazing.
Can we talk about David Hogg, though, a little bit about how his dad was an FBI agent and the fact that he wasn't even at Parkland day of the shooting? He was actually riding his bike there.
Well, so he was in a different part of the school, and then he went home. And then when he heard the news had come down, he jumped on his bike and went straight back.
So he was really scared of a school shooter. When there's a school shooter, that's what I do. I get my bike and I drive straight to the school shooter.
And it's fascinating because you had Kyle Kashev, I don't know pronounce his name. Sorry, Kyle, I can't pronounce your name. And he was trying to speak up too, but they were like, no, ignore that kid. We don't want that message.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was like, I was also at the school and like, I think we shouldn't do this and stuff. But, David Hogg, brilliant kid. Absolutely brilliant. He's one of the best in the business when it comes to political manipulation and grifting and spitting in your face for political power. Like, obviously, this kid knows exactly what he's doing. He does this routine where he's like, oh, why won't we debate guns and everything? And any legitimate person, Maj Touré, for instance, who's like, let's have a conversation, bro, ghost. And then he'll try and target someone who's completely wrong and confused.
Has he ever done a debate?
Probably not. I mean, look, he's a grifter. He knows he can't win an actual gun debate. That's it. End of story.
I don't think
That's what it is with Democrat politics. That's why they don't engage and come on shows like this. And then they use that they don't come on shows like this as an argument against us by saying he doesn't have people on the left on his show ever. And it's like, yeah, you don't come on because your political arguments get annihilated.
Well, Bill Mitchell, he's not on the left, but he did look like a lesbian on your show, to be fair. So.
Well, he was the one who mentioned that.
Yeah, I know, that was a funny clip. I didn't even know that was the statement until he said it, and I started laughing.
And then he said immediately after, he said, "I knew the moment I said it would be a clip." And I'll give him respect. He ran with it and he embraced it and he said it, and then he made jokes consistently about how he thought he looked like an aging lesbian. And I'm like, I think
who said this? Bill Mitchell.
Bill Mitchell. Yeah. Yes, like but look, I mean, like if someone makes fun of you and you roll with it and say, well, then I'll make it the best I can. I can respect that, right?
You have to.
I think it's insulting to lesbians and that's not fair, right? You know what I mean?
But it's one thing to roll with someone making fun of you while they're doing it, and another thing to bring it up later and to insult yourself, humiliate again. Like, it's unnecessary to be like, I remember all those people that were saying about me. Like,
but that's not how it went down.
Yeah,
he had some zingers and one-liners that were throwbacks, and it was pretty funny. And I'll say this for Bill. When we hung out, we had sushi, we ate dinner after the Culture War show, and hanging out with him and Laura was completely cordial and polite, and they laughed, and it was like normal conversation. Outside of the political space, there was no trouble getting along. And then once they went back on Twitter, it was just throwing fireballs again.
Oh, well, text. It's funny you say that because I had Laura on my show this week and I thought it'd be funny. My producer actually likes DeSantis. I had him put on the DeSantis shirt. I thought, oh, maybe she'll just cuss him out. She's very cordial and very nice.
Right.
Like, she doesn't really want to. I was hoping she was going to tear him a new asshole. But
let's jump to this story from the Post Millennial. This is huge. 3 men accused of Gretchen Whitmer kidnap plot acquitted. There you go. I mean, what more do you need? The last 3 men who were charged in the plot to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer have all been found not guilty on all charges, by the way. William Knoll, twin brother Michael Knoll, and Eric Molitor were among the 14 charged in the alleged plot, and 3 have been acquitted. All 3 have been acquitted. Adam Fox and Barry Croft Jr. were convicted of kidnapping conspiracy in 2022. The 2 were also found guilty of conspiring to obtain a weapon of mass destruction, such as a bomb to destroy a bridge. It's such obvious BS. The general, let me break down for you how this works. The FBI finds some moron and then keeps whispering things to him like, don't you want to do this? Come on. Don't you want to do this? And they'll be like, no, not really. And they'll be like, come on, let's do it anyway. And they'll be like, no, not really. But just get in the car. And they'll be like, okay. He got in the car. That proves it. And then
this is happened in Ohio when I was living there in 2012. You can look this up. I mean, this is just like more corroborative evidence that this happens more than one. It's not like a one-off. 3 sentenced to prison for plot to blow up Ohio Bridge. They were given explosives, dummy explosives by FBI. Undercover FBI agents gave these 3 dudes fake explosives and apparently colluded with them.
It's the same as a controlled drug buy.
I want Donald Trump to criminally charge all FBI agents who participated in these conspiracies.
Yeah, but that's what the FBI does is they'll set you up like, oh, we have a cocaine dealer, and they'll set you up the cocaine dealer, and the cocaine dealer's an FBI agent. So, I mean, it was all a setup. But we're never going to get any transparency with the FBI. I mean, I think that the FBI and CIA killed JFK. I mean,
I do not want Trump to go in and just be like, we're shutting it down, we're defunding it. No, I want to be like, whoa, hold on. Yes, but first, audit and criminal indictments for any and all FBI agents who were party to criminal plots. And you know what? There's a lot of them we don't know about. So
there's thousands.
I'd imagine more. Yeah. Because you look at what happens with the Whitmer thing. How many times has the FBI engaged in a conspiracy to, say, kidnap a politician and then not convinced anyone to join them? So we pull up those records and we say, we got an agent, John Smith, right here. Looks like you engaged in a plot to arrest a mayor. To kidnap a mayor. And they'll be like, well, yeah, but we're doing a sting. Well, it says here, you were the one who initiated it. Put your hands behind your back. Shut your mouth. You have the right to remain silent. Lock them up.
That's hardcore, dude.
But, the men who were just, what were they, acquitted? They should
So-
be thankful that the jury was able to learn about these
So-
rogue FBI informants, because most people in that position wouldn't
Rogue
have that.
is what the FBI does.
Yeah.
So these guys have their lives dangling off the edge of a cliff while these FBI agents smirk and give the Kubrick stare and laugh about it.
Yeah.
I am done playing these games. This is abject evil. There is no legitimate reason for the FBI to make fake plots and then try and trick people to do them. It doesn't make sense. These guys, if they never met the FBI, would be sitting around drinking, talking smack, and they'd be worrying about football. Instead, the FBI comes in and goads them and coaxes them, gives them materials. This is what we see across the board with all these different plots. I say arrest and criminally charge, indict all of the FBI agents because they are party to the conspiracy.
Yep.
You can't, I think the law should even be amended that says you cannot charge someone under this law unless the plan was created outside of law enforcement. If law enforcement agencies create the plot, then that should be fruit of the poison tree, and none of these men should be able to be convicted.
That's like all sting operations.
No, it isn't. No, it's not.
I mean, maybe I'm using the wrong.
So
wrong word.
I'll tell you this.
Not sting.
Here's what some of what the FBI has done.
maybe entrapment.
Well, entrapment is when you knowingly when the person is being forced to, like, either by blackmail, extortion, or otherwise. But what the FBI has done, which is more questionable, but not in this territory,
Pretend to be a drug dealer.
No, they go to church. They go to mosques and they just hang out, and then they wait to see if anyone says anything, and then they leave. And there are a bunch of stories where I've heard these stories. You can look them up. Where there were imams in like Dearborn who reported the feds to the FBI immediately when the guy came in and said, "Hey, here's what I'm thinking." They were like, "Oh, okay, have a nice day." And then immediately called the feds and said, "This guy's crazy. Get him out of here." And they were like, "All right." They leave. That is bad. Those are crazy stories. That cop, that FBI guy should be arrested for doing that. But if all they do is, we are going to have a criminal informant tell us if something's going on, I got no problem with that, right? We want to stop legitimate acts of terror. What we do not want is the feds creating the plot and then trying to trick people into joining it. That right there, the moment it's discovered, wait, who came up with this plan? Agent Smith. Okay, charges dismissed, case closed. Men, you're all free to go.
Yeah, but Tim, Joe Rogan talks about it. You know this, and January 6th, we probably know this, is they have agent provocateurs where they can go in to a riot or to a protest and actually accelerate things, make things worse, and we never hold them accountable. And it's an actual crime to lie to an FBI agent.
What and even outside of the context of an investigation.
Yeah.
So Michael Flynn was criminally charged even though he wasn't being formally questioned.
That's ridiculous.
It's like you're hanging out they were hanging out at like a dinner or something at the White House, and they were like, "So tell me about this." And then he's like, "Oh, X, Y, and Z." And they're like, "We got him. He just lied to us. That's it." Yep.
You're not even under formal investigation if you lie to an FBI agent.
Let me
find out.
Let me. I want to ask you, Alex. Why? How come Owen Schroyer is getting 60 days in jail? And the reason is the prosecution said he yelled "death to tyrants." He said Democrats are tyrants, and he yelled "death to tyrants." And Ray Epps, who quite literally said to go into the building several times, was charged with nothing. The argument made by the government was Owen Schroyer didn't go in to the Capitol, but he didn't need to. The people he was goading on did. Ray Epps is the guy who orchestrated, walked around saying to do it. What's going on?
Well, for me, the biggest red flag is when you see the New York Times and then you see Adam Kinzinger and you see all these left-wing people. Well, Adam Kinzinger, fake left-winger or fake right-winger or whatever you want to...
Fake both.
Yeah, fake both. But my point is when the mainstream media is running cover for Ray Epps, that's the biggest red flag possible. That just makes it seem like, oh, this guy's definitely an agent provocateur. But with Owen, I mean, it's his connection to InfoWars. They have to take him down, and they were not going to give him probation. They have to send a message by making him go to jail. But what's ridiculous is Richard Barnett, he's the guy that put his feet on Nancy Pelosi's desk. I think he got 7 years.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're in your 60s and you get 7 years, I mean,
It's
that's
life.
That's almost life.
Yeah.
And when these guys let them into the building.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
on
Those
camera.
mag locks, you have to turn off those mag locks.
But the cops opened the door. There's
They
video.
gave
what
them
I'm saying.
a
They
tour.
opened those
They
door,
gave them
yeah.
a tour of the Capitol.
Yeah,
They're
I mean,
sitting there walking
the
them
QAnon
around.
shaman was just having a nice stroll through the
He was
thing,
walking around confused, and the cops gave him directions and
Go this way.
they opened the door for him. They were telling him where to go. But that's an inside job. And AOC is right when she said that some of these cops were in on it. I'm like, yes, I think the Republicans should start arresting all these cops. And I mean it 100%. what you need to do is stop allowing the frogs to boil, right? All of us are always sitting in this pot and it's slowly getting hotter so nobody moves. And then we go from, in 2018, there's some street fights, to in 2023, they've indicted the president 94 times, or there's 94 charges on several different indictments. They're arresting lawyers and journalists, and it's just like, okay, how do we get to this point? It's because it's incremental. Here's what you do, Republicans. Matt Gaetz, I'll ask them, they won't do it because they're like, oh, but we don't want to piss off cops. You immediately say, we are going to, we agree with Democrats. January 6th was a problem. Here's a video of the police letting them in and helping the QAnon shaman. These police aided and abetted the insurrection, and we need to get to the bottom of this. Subpoena the cops and then criminally charge them and make them go into the prisons with the J6ers. Each and every one, every single cop, especially the one who shot Ashley Babbitt. No questions. You should do it. And then what happens? Now you're going to have the Capitol Police going to Democrats being like, what did you do with this can of worms? Why are we involved in this? And there's not going to be a public, you get AOC on your side right away. The first thing I do is I go to AOC and say, how would you like to indict the cops who helped the J6ers? She's going to say yes. She's already on camera saying it's a problem. Then you put it in Pelosi's face and you put it in the Democrats' face being like, you're right. All of these cops that helped these people come in, we're going to lock them up too. Now you've created a problem for Democrats in that the press now becomes the Capitol Police that they championed, cherished, and celebrated are all going to jail too. Turn it back on them. Turn it back on them.
Yeah, but that's never going to happen. I mean, that would never. I mean,
well, it's not a question of never going to happen. I'm saying this is.
That's what it should be done. Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. We should hold these people accountable.
The only thing that's going to stop this stuff, though, is I think is actually like abolishing bureaucracy. Get rid of the FBI. Or fire everybody there and then hire them again.
Because everybody says abolish the FBI. I agree. There's been a weaponization of our DOJ and all these 3-letter agencies, but how do you do that? I don't know that any president really could go in and actually do it.
Well, wasn't the FBI created by decree?
I don't know that they're going to be able to dismantle that. The last person who tried was shot in the head in Texas.
Well, what they're going to do is they're just going to have and I wouldn't be surprised if law enforcement, and this is probably not going to happen very soon, but just like with COVID, how we had the contact tracing apps, they're going to have like law enforcement contact tracing apps. For the phone, they're going to be able to look in your phone. They're going to know if you're doing anything illegal. They're going to know artificial intelligence will be able to scan your text messages, listen to your phone calls. So we won't even need the traditional cops like you think, and we'll almost need social workers.
I mean, there are some good things that the FBI does. You know, stopping
There's nothing good.
Child exploitation.
No.
Didn't Tim Ballard
Oklahoma City bombing? Not good.
I think Ballard said he worked with FBI on trafficking stuff.
I'm not saying every FBI agent is bad, but I'm just the majority of their work is
it's just a bad organization.
Yeah.
The idea that the federal government needs to have a police force, like you can argue that the federal government needs to have a police force for like Secret Service to protect the president and maybe for Capitol Police and stuff like that, but the entire every state has state police and they're all capable of working together. They're all capable of sharing information. It is
but even
not
the state
necessary.
Police are a problem because who was enforcing all the COVID stuff?
Actually, everybody's saying you're a Fed in the chat.
Look, it's fine. You're right, and that's totally true. But again, it still decentralizes. The problem becomes the centralization of power in Washington. Everybody knows that Washington does not have the individual people or the state's best interests at heart. Washington is concerned with Washington, and that's the way it's always going to be as long as power is centered there. Now, I've heard people talk about moving bureaus and bureaucracies and stuff to other parts of the country, and maybe there's an argument for that. But really, just get rid of it. Get rid of it. Cut it out. Abolish it.
It's a good point that it's the danger is the organization of it itself.
Yeah.
The way it's organized. The centralization essentially of top-down authority that one guy, I don't know, is Merrick Garland or who is he? He's not the head of the FBI.
He's the attorney general. He's not the head of the FBI, but he's the head of the Justice Department.
You get these tops giving all the soldiers basically their marching orders. So all these Capitol Police are told, let them in. We don't want them to break all the windows. Just open the doors and let them in. So the cops stand back. That's why according to how you were saying, Tim, about arresting them, I tend towards like what they did to the Nazis is you arrest the ringleaders, you arrest the ones at the top, and then the other ones, they're basically going to be your soldiers.
Well, yeah, but there's videos of these cops opening the doors and saying, "Come on in." I think that if the Republicans right now, there's a video of this. Say, I want to know who those cops are. You bring them in for open public congressional testimony and say, why did you open the door and let them in? Let them say it on C-SPAN to be reposted and rebroadcast by everybody on Twitter. The officer says, we did open the doors. Then you can say, okay, the question now becomes, officer, you let them in, and some of these people have been in jail for 2.5 years. How much time in prison do you deserve for being the one who opened the doors? Let the public decide. Should these officers go to prison? Because if you say no, we must release the J6ers.
I'd be open to investigation because you could get those cops will be like, I was told by my commanding officer by name. He gives the name.
Bring them in
to
and
open
make
the
them
doors.
testify under oath.
It would be an easy chain of command to figure out how those doors got open. But I do want to congratulate the FBI on one thing, because they did great police work when they found 2 passports on 9/11 of the terrorists. They weren't able to find the black boxes, but they were able to find those passports. So that was
Well, it got really lucky that they didn't get burned up in the explosion.
I know, thank goodness.
It must have fallen out of the plane before it hit the building because they found it a couple blocks away.
No, it
Yeah,
could get
so-
blown. It could be blown.
It can be blown in the wind,
I mean,
yeah.
a lot of debris went very, very far. It's
Oh,
kind-
that's true. They were
it's
blown
ter-
out the sides of the buildings, a lot of that debris.
Oh, I mean, in the initial crash, debris was launched like hundreds of yards. It's crazy. But they were just lucky that they didn't.
Yeah,
get
the
burned up.
passport just went through the nose cone of the building and then 2 blocks down the street.
No,
and then
he must have
there-
thrown it out the window.
You know why I'm really impressed with that? Because I lose my passport all the time.
Yeah, we need
in
that.
my own house. You know,
You just need to hire an FBI agent.
That's
They can come and
not
find
a
it for
good
you.
thing to lose.
Dude, what?
No, but like I'll put it. I'll put it in the safe or something, and then we'll travel. So I'll take it out, and then we'll put it in a suitcase, and
Yeah.
then we'll come back and put the suitcase in the room. And then I'll be like, "What? Was it in the bag or was it in?" Oh, and I got to tear the whole bag open. I'm like, "No, I put it back in the shelf." Then I'll open, and there it is. You know, but it's hard sometimes because I don't use it that often.
Well,
right?
call your FBI agent. They'll know. Your
Well,
personal
you know,
FBI agent knows.
maybe they could work with that because they weren't able to find the swatters who swatted us 15
No.
times. But anyway, back
Abolish
to
the FBI.
back to the main point. When I think about things like this, like, hey, bring in these cops and have them testify. How come nothing like this ever happens? Even when it comes to impeachment, it is the most mundane and predictable thing you can expect from the GOP. There's evidence that's been around for years that we've known about with Hunter Biden. In 2019, Politico wrote Biden Inc. We have that all of it laid out by a journalist, and now 4 years later, it's like, let's ask this question. It's like, where's anyone to be like, I am going to file a subpoena for all of the police officers and make them come testify? I really don't think anyone ever does anything. It's so boring. I mean, I don't understand this, man. About anything in life, I just don't understand why nobody does anything. And I'm gonna say this to the extreme. I mean this in the most literal sense, to the most extreme degree. No one does anything. Now I'll clarify what I mean by that, because obviously we all do different things. But I mean, there are prominent, powerful people with lots of money who you'll hear complain and then do literally nothing.
Because you answered it, because they're powerful, prominent people with lots of money.
That's my point.
That's why they don't do anything, because they want to continue being prominent, powerful
You
people
don't
with
lose
lots
that.
of money.
You don't lose that from
absolutely lose.
Elon Musk does stuff.
He's an anomaly. Absolute
And
anomaly.
that's my point. So like, and he's. I think it's massively beneficial for him. I mean, granted,
Not
they're
really.
coming
He's
after
getting
him.
sued. Yeah, that's what I'm
coming
saying.
after
Now
him.
they're coming after him. DOJ's coming after Elon
Well,
too,
then-
but they don't do anything because it's not. They don't want to. They'd rather go on the news and line their pockets and increase their net worth by $100 million.
What do they do?
I think
Like,
they should be sent to the barracks when they
NPCs.
serve in office.
They're NPCs.
and they're not allowed to leave. They should be in the barracks.
They are NPCs, and I tell you this because I know people who go on more adventures and take more risks who are lower income than wealthy individuals in this country and in this world. There's very few people who are willing to take large, ridiculous risks in order to affect some kind of positive change. And it's like, off the top of my head, who can I even think of? Elon? That's maybe it.
Vivek.
Vivek, good
Yeah,
point.
but even he had. I mean, I like Vivek, but I mean, he even had a pharmaceutical deal that went bad. So I mean, he's not.
No,
the deal went
in
good.
terms
He
of
made a lot of money.
Yeah,
on
he
that.
went
in
good.
terms
Yeah.
of doing crazy stuff, like big boisterous things,
Yeah.
like Vivek is.
He's
doing
doing
something.
something.
He's
Yeah, I'm not
gonna,
hating on
if he's
that,
saying
yeah.
he's going to end the FBI, he's basically putting himself in JFK's position.
Oh, I love it. I think he's
That's
great.
taking a
I
huge
don't,
risk.
just so we are clear, Tim is not saying that he loves the idea of Vivek being in JFK's position specifically. Just want
he
to throw
loves
that
he
out
would
there.
do that. And then he's not in JFK's
I love that
position.
he's
We're
a-
a different place and time.
I
but
love that he's stepping up and saying, I am willing to put my face out there with these statements, taking all the risks that come along with it because it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
Well,
Courageous.
after this pandemic, and
I have an idea.
Okay, let's hear it.
I just want to hire 100 clowns to like run around Vegas.
Well, I'm clown pilled.
I'm into it. I don't even know
Everyone's
why.
gonna think they were the hackers.
Well, how about Alex? We get you 100, maybe 1,000. We hire 1,000 clowns,
Extras, yes.
and they just will do what you ask them to do.
They'll put an FBI informant in it. Don't do it.
Yeah, I know. And then
It's-
they
we're
go
talking
blow
about
up a
doing-
building and say it's
we're
Tim
talking
blew up
about
a
doing a
building.
street
I know,
show
no,
like
yeah.
Oprah did.
Some horror
Calm
movie
down.
with
Let's
clowns.
let's have them go to DC, the clowns, and then we'll put little signs that say meet a senator.
Remember when Oprah had the "I Got a Feeling" song, and it turned out everyone in the audience were actually dancers.
Yeah,
I'm talking about having clowns do a street show to like be comedic and generate attention on some issue. You guys go to dark places
Yeah.
with this
Yeah,
stuff.
inside job,
Contingencies.
9/11.
A bunch of clowns is going to be like, it was worse than January 6th. The clowns stormed the building.
The makeup was
But
terrible.
I want to make this point though. Is this sounds so bad, and I hope it doesn't get me in trouble. But I've lost almost all faith in humanity after the pandemic. Like I think the bigger the group gets, the dumber it gets. So that's why like I'm almost empathetic to the elites that don't want to interact with us.
Oh, dude, I totally get where Bill Gates is coming
I'm saying I get where Bill Gates. He's like,
I
just give
know.
them all a vaccine. Shut up. Just go about your business.
No, hold on. Anybody who's run a large company understands the frustrations of what can go wrong will go wrong. And, like running this company, there are things that happen where it's like, I am genuinely shocked that something happened. Like, I don't understand how explicit instructions of take A to B and then do C turns into X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, how did this happen? And no one has an answer. And I'm like experiencing that. I'm like, so now I get it. Bill Gates with his, how many 100,000 employees, at a certain point, his eyes are bleeding. They're bloodshot. And he's like, why did you put the mop in the server room? And it's just like, I don't know, sir. And he's like, ah! And then his head explodes.
Because most humans, I hate to admit it, we're all kind of dumb. I bet if you asked 10 people on the street, 80% probably wouldn't know who Kamala Harris is. Probably two people would
I
know.
agree.
I mean, the majority wouldn't. So people are just not dialed in. They're in debt. They're have an ex-girlfriend, baby mom, or whatever. Just they're not dialed into what's really happening in the world because they're so distracted. And we're all basically debt slaves just trying to make it.
I do. In all seriousness, I do think people like Bill Gates and a bunch of the other wealthy, powerful elites. I think if you were to talk to them, for one, they're Malthusian. They do think there's too many people, and they will legitimately tell you. I mean, I'm sure if you're hanging out at Bilderberg with a lot of these powerful international elites and politicians, they're going to say, look, man, think about how stupid the average person is. Okay, now realize half of them are stupider than that. Mm-hmm. And they vote. And that's half of that. The first half was George Carlin. But that's probably what they're thinking. And they're thinking, we don't want stupid people to have political power. And so what do you get? Look at what's going on with everything politically in terms of abortion, sterilization, etc. This is not a detriment to conservatives who are more resilient, more self-reliant, and protective of their kids. It's mostly detrimental to urban liberals. The COVID lockdown policies mostly negatively impacted urban liberals. All the things we see, defund the police, bad for liberals. Conservatives, and then the people flee to more conservative areas where they can be more resilient and resolved. And then it is the leftists who are suffering tremendously under their own policies that's resulting in them having less kids.
Yeah, I understand that, but people having less kids is bad for society and civilization in general.
Yes, but if conservatives have twice as many kids, which they're probably going to start doing, then problem solved.
But we can never have more kids than Venezuela's having. I mean, they have a culture. I mean, seriously, they have a culture. I doubt they're doing a lot of abortion. So if they can just let people come in from other countries. My biological stepdad, Tucker Carlson, gets a lot of heat for saying the great replacement theory. But I don't know. It would be hard to debate that if you really look at our immigration policy.
This is a really good idea. Powder PZ says to send 100 clowns to DC, each with a senator's name and badge. And whenever they see the senator, they go there and they start dancing. And that's actually a really good idea to just have someone waits outside, and then when they see the senator walking to the car, the clown is behind camera going like,
that would be funny.
With kids and like the value of having children equating to like the species propagating. I wonder if there's got to be a diminishing return. I think that you can have 4 kids. That's maybe better than having 3. But if you have 19 kids, you don't have time for 19 kids. A lot of those kids are going to grow up without a parent. So like that's worse.
I don't
Well,
know that
sort
that's
of. The siblings help a lot.
Yeah,
in
and
those
also-
situations.
like in the past, like people, like families have had as many kids as they could in the like anticipating some of them dying off. So you can still manage
Yeah,
to raise.
like bees. That's what bees do.
I mean-
they have a ton of babies and then a bunch die, but some survive.
The point is though, but like 100 years ago, families were much larger. Before any kind of birth control, people weren't like, no, we don't want to have sex because we might have kids. Like they were still getting it on, and you had big families and stuff like that.
I want to. Let's. I want to segue this because it is overpopulation, families and stuff is a good way to segue into this story. We have this from Timcast.com. Protesters chant "Send them back" at AOC during NYC press conference. An estimated 110,000 illegal immigrants have arrived in the city since 2022. This story is fascinating, and the video is even more fascinating. Take a look at this. You got to hear this. Let's play it.
Yes, and ultimately, I think that there are 3 points of consensus here that are very important in getting a solution to this issue. The first is that there is consensus here across geography and states on increased federal resources to cities and municipalities dealing with this issue.
There's consensus, all right.
Listen.
Authorization.
Okay, I gotta play that again.
To cities and municipalities dealing with this issue. The second is to allow for work authorizations so that the folks in here can get to work and start supporting themselves as soon as possible.
AOC is abject evil. And you can hear these people screaming at her. And what is her response to them? Don't worry. We're going to give them work rights so that they can displace your wages, lower your wages, displace your jobs. Have a nice day.
They are prevented from getting jobs. They are prevented from employment. And that is part of the strain on our public systems. The faster that folks can access the work that they're asking for legally, the better we can solve this problem. And the third is extension of temporary protected status.
Look at this.
Venezuelans who are the largest population that are arriving here. So with that, we thank you all.
She is so evil that people are screaming at her and protesting across the board in these cities. And what does she say? We're going to spend more federal resources on them. We're going to give them work rights and protected status over you while they're screaming at her, send them back.
Are those her constituents?
Yes.
Hopefully, yeah.
So those are the people she's representing?
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
Well, have
she's
you guys seen
representing
Curtis
the
Lee
immigrants.
was, I mean, everybody, they're freaking out about it. Curtis Lee was been arrested protesting this a bunch. I mean, this is a big deal that there are actual vets that they're kicking out of hotels to put these illegal immigrants in. That makes no sense. Why would a vet that went and risked their life in Iraq be less likely to get social services than an immigrant from Venezuela?
I'm sorry to tell you, Alex Ocasio-Cortez, not you, Alex,
She
I'm
looks
happy to tell
sexy,
you,
yeah.
yo, you are not here to govern the world. An illegal immigrant. It's not your job. Your job is to protect and serve the United States and the citizens of the United States, lady. Get
Well,
it straight.
I think
That's not her job. The Democrats want us to just be one big globalist homogenous blob.
It's gotta happen slow.
She's a commie. That's why she's an international communist. Like, even though she's a representative from New York, she's a member of the DSA, and she's an actual communist. They don't believe in borders. They don't believe in nations. They think that if you believe in borders, you're a nationalist, and a nationalist means you're a Nazi.
Yeah.
She's a communist, and that's the reason why she wants to have all the free open borders.
When you say she doesn't believe in borders, you mean she just envisions them differently?
No. The Democratic Socialists of America think that there should be no borders at all.
But then you would have no states.
Exactly.
That's right.
No
Yeah.
cities.
There's
Listen,
one-
that's what
That's
communism
correct.
is.
No
Very
walls.
hypocritical,
Ian,
yeah.
where's the?
Ian, that's
where's
what
the-
communism is. Communism is a global thing. Like when they say real
I get it,
communism
yeah.
has never been tried,
State owns
it's
everything.
because there has never been a full global communism. So when you say the Soviet Union was communism and they tried communism and it didn't work, then the communist reply is real communism has never been tried. And the reason it's never been tried is because it was not global. There was class, there was nations. And as long as that is the situation, it's not real communism.
The New World Order.
My favorite is when you ask a communist, like, what do they want? They go, I vision like Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you mean a post-scarcity world where you can tell a computer to just fabricate something from from ambient energy, and it does. Bro, I'll tell you this.
They had property.
When we get to the point where we have replicators, and you can literally be like, computer, ham sandwich, and then it does, sure, we can have some agreements on labor reforms at that point, but spare me this utopian vision while 100 million people over the past, 100 some odd years were murdered in mass.
Even then, man, when that replicator's in action, who built the replicator? What is the replicator's code base?
Replicator built a replicator.
So is the replicator giving you actual water when you say
Yes.
water, or is it giving you something slightly different and it's
It's going to be
telling you that
slightly
it's water?
different. It's going to be
Hold
like
on.
Delta 9 weed compared
Hold
to
on.
real weed.
That's what I'm talking about.
Large, complicated replicators replicate small replicators. What they do is there's ambient energy they absorb, and then it fuses the particles together to make the appropriate elements, and then that's the world of science fiction. Hey, maybe one day we'll get there, and if we do, we can have a conversation about labor reforms, and then we can talk about how everybody just has unlimited food and all this stuff. And then what's going to happen is the communists are going to say too many people are eating food, getting fat, and having babies, and then you know what communists do? They do what they always do.
The too
what
many
they're doing
people.
right now.
Well, communists have a history of just murdering millions upon millions
Yeah.
of people.
Oh, we don't have enough food. Face the wall, please.
But it's not even that. When there's too much food, they're going to be like, okay, now that food is infinite supply or near infinite, and people are eating too much of it and they're getting sick. We got to deal with the like they're going to excise the people they deem to be wrong. It's this world doesn't exist where they think. I love that meme where someone said, What are you going to do once communism is achieved? And they said, I think I'll teach people how to do poetry on my farm and maybe do art classes. And then the response was, your farm? These people don't get it. They're first order thinkers, and they're going to be in a world for hurt if this ever happens.
The Italian island of 6,000 we talked about before the show. I'm not going to say on air what I was saying before the show because it's horrific to envision what could happen to a mass of migrants that move into a place where they're not wanted if you don't try and stop it ahead of time and you just let it keep happening.
It's going to get really, really bad.
It could get so bloody.
Okay,
You do not want to see that.
Let's talk about the southern border and where we're at right now. New York, Chicago. These are liberal bastions freaking out. AOC is getting screamed at. One of the risks that I fear, because they are not properly securing our borders and dealing with the crisis of illegal immigrants flooding into the system, is these people who are coming in do not recognize our government. Governments fall when the people do not have confidence in those governments. So if you look at, let's go back to, we talked about Lexington and Concord and the American Revolution. When the Crown said Massachusetts is in a state of rebellion and here's what you have to do, the militias outside of Boston says, we don't recognize you and we're going to do whatever we want, because there was no confidence that they could do anything and there was a willingness to reject them. Let me put it this way. If a guy walks up to you wearing a clown suit and says, I'm from Clown Division, put your hands against the wall, you'd be like, what? No. Clown Division, hands against. Why would you put your hands against the wall for someone showing the Clown Division badge and they have a big clown hair and nose and they go, ee, ee. You'd be like, bro, is this a joke? I don't know who you are and you have no authority over me. You can claim to be the king. You can claim to be the president. That doesn't mean anything. I don't know you. What happens when you import millions of people every year who do not recognize your government and your laws? At some point, you are going to have large groups of people in New York who are going to say, I don't know you, dude. A guy's going to show, I'm a cop. And they're going to be like, what does that mean to me? You're in our territory now. I'll give you a real world example. It's called Rinkeby in Sweden. They brought in a whole bunch of Somali migrants in the 90s. They sent them to these, they basically had them all go to the same places. There was no regulation and control as to where they were going. What ends up happening is the Somali refugees and migrants who go to this neighborhood of Rinkeby have kids. Those kids grow up surrounded by Somali individuals. They do not see the Swedish people or government as anything to do with them. When the police come in, they start throwing stones and bricks at the cops saying, get out, because they are the authority in that area. And that happened to me when I went there. They didn't throw stones or anything. They started yelling at us and threatening us. And the cops were like, you probably want to leave. We'll follow you out. The simple, I'll give you the simple version. It's more complicated than that. But I asked them, like, we should go. And they're like, it's going to get very dangerous. They could start throwing bricks. We can't do anything to help you. And what we were told by the people in the country who are honest is, well, when you have a generation, all these young men who are in their 20s, and they've got they don't interact with the government, they don't run for office, it's not possible for them to win office. The police don't come in these areas.
They don't pay taxes.
Right. And so in their minds, they are not Swedish. They do not live in this country. And the police who come in, it would be no different than if you saw a dude wearing a badge, a clown badge, walked onto your property. You'd be like, get off my property, you're trespassing. And they know I'm from Clown Division. You'd be like, I don't recognize what that is and don't care. You are trespassing. Now, we as Americans recognize what law enforcement is, the sheriff, the FBI, or otherwise. But what happens when you have all of these non-citizens who are going to be like, I don't know who you are or what you're doing here. I do not know the systems of governance in the United States. I don't know anything about your laws, your politicians, your law enforcement. Then what happens on the southern border when you have these instances occurring in places like New York, and finally in Texas, they say, guys, the federal government is not going to protect our borders. And so what does Texas do? I think, was it Texas, right? They put up the floating barricades in the river.
Texas, yeah.
Arizona put up the shipping containers. The federal government said, you have no right to do this. And it's technically true as to how the government works. States don't have the right to deal with international borders, but they're starting to, which means states have begun to reject, and it's been going on for a while, federal authority. What happens then when local law enforcement say, we are going to secure the borders by force because we can't contain this anymore? Here's a scenario. Texas is being flooded by non-citizens. Non-citizens who are not going to recognize law enforcement will probably flee from law enforcement, not recognize taxes and laws, and try and work under the table. We are seeing economic repercussions and economic damage and crime and drugs. Not all of them are bad people, but there are a lot of drugs and child trafficking. The feds won't do enough about it, or they're not doing anything about it. So what happens then when in Texas, a local town or a county sheriff, they say, you hear the screaming that's going on in Texas. Going on in New York. Imagine a scenario in a year from now where the same amount of screaming is happening to a sheriff, and they're screaming, I don't care what you do, but stop this now. Then the sheriff says, okay, we're going to get a bunch of guys to the border, and we're going to defend the border by force if necessary. We're going to bring cars. We're going to build barricades. The federal government says stop, and they say, I don't know who you are, what you're talking about. And they do it anyway. What happens then when conflict breaks out between the people who are trying to flood through the border and the people who are now sick of it? This is a path to violence. What you need in this country is a federal government who says, in order to avoid violence, conflict, and crisis, we have to have procedural, we have to have a process for how we deal with this. We have to deport people. We have to create security barricades and not let them just come in. But they're doing everything, it seems, in their power to escalate things to the point of social breakdown, violence, chaos, etc.
Yes, it's gotten so bad in New York City. Just even in the past few months, you had Lady Gaga's dad speaking out and saying enough is enough. They're flowing over. You can't even really walk down parts of 8th Avenue because they're just housing them there. Staten Island just had one of the migrant shelters they were using, I believe, is an old school. You can't even go outside there because it smells so bad because of the sewage issue. It's all backed up. The neighbors there, they don't even want to leave their house because it smells of sewage and it reeks. And then you have all these kids who are, if I send my kid to a school in New York City, a public school, he has to be vaccinated. He has to have vaccination records. These migrant children, they don't. That's an issue because if there's an outbreak of something like measles, it's spreading to these kids, some of them who can't be vaccinated because they're immunocompromised, they can't get a vaccine, and none of the migrant kids coming in have to be vaccinated at all. They're not held to the same standards as the children of citizens there, of New Yorkers, of people in this country. They don't care.
Yeah, but you look at a state like Texas, guys, and I know everybody thinks Texas is conservative, but now with Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, and Houston all being liberal now, the great replacement theory, it's in Texas, we are being affected by immigration, probably worse, other than California and Arizona, worse than anybody in the entire country, and it's done on purpose. A state that was likely conservative in the next 10 years, no doubt, will be liberal. Because of this. A big part of this because of the
They hate the rule of law, which is the only thing that separates us from third world countries is law and order, the rule of law.
Yes.
And they loathe the rule of law. They want us to just be one globalist homogenous.
Who's they?
The globalist.
Is this like World Economic Forum?
Yeah.
Klaus Schwab's buddies and stuff? Like, I wonder, who do you guys think they are exactly?
Well, it's a conglomerate.
Are their names even out there?
There's people in the Catholic Church, probably, Israel, probably, there's probably a whole conglomerate of the Trilateral Commission. I'm just saying there's
Council on Foreign Relations.
That's what I'm saying. It's a group
Flying
of
into
people.
Davos.
They is really simple. It refers to establishment, political, and corporate power.
So financial. It's financial stuff.
Yeah, I would say the
that's a component of it.
corporations are the most powerful, in my opinion.
Well, there's also a group of people, especially the Davos types, who, they call themselves futurists, and this is their job to future think and think about what it would be like if we were all one global community.
James Lindsay calls it a Gnostic cult, and that's what it is. They're all essentially, it's essentially a religion, and they are looking for a one world government. And when you say they, I'm talking about Marxists, right? Actually neo-Marxists, right? So because the economic school of Marxism was proven to not work in with the fall of the Soviet Union and all of the countries that have tried socialism. And so neo-Marxism is a new approach to Marxism, and you can take all of the intersectional stuff that you've got and that is all different like species of Marxism, and they all have the same essential goal.
Let me take it to an even weirder spot. This is how weird I am, Ian. I believe it's actually satanic, and I think it comes out of the Bible, and it's Genesis chapter 11, verse 9. And if you flip that, it's weird that it's 9/11. But in that, it talks about the Tower of Babel, and that Nimrod wanted to build a kingdom to heaven to go kill God. And what God did is he made all the tribes and make it where they can communicate, and so everybody went their, separate ways. So what they're doing now, these people that worship the devil, they want to invert everything in the Bible. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to reverse engineer Nimrod's plan and build a one world order. So we're under one rule, one currency, one system. So it's actually satanic. I know that sounds crazy.
You don't have to believe in devils to agree with him, because I don't believe in like supernatural stuff,
Yeah,
but
but
I still think that he's right, because
It's an
I
issue
don't
of-
believe it, but they do.
Right.
Yeah, they do.
These people believe these weird superstitions. And I don't know if all of them do. I know that
Nancy Pelosi said she was a reptilian this week.
What?
She did.
Yeah, type it in.
She did.
Oh my
She
gosh,
did.
she said it this week. She said I'm cold-blooded and I'm reptilian.
That actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think she's a freaking
He's-
reptile, but something is weird.
The point that he's making is that the Gnostic religion has been around since before like Christianity and before
I
Islam.
can't Google it because it says, it looks like the results below are changing quickly. Check the source. Is it a trusted topic?
Well, she said it on MSNBC. I forget whose show she was on. She just said it. If you type it on Twitter and Pelosi, because it's probably going to give you a bunch of fake stuff, but she just said it this week. Type in Pelosi Twitter or Pelosi reptilian. But no, I do think it's demonic or satanic. I know that sounds weird, but there's something to it. And whether you believe in it or not, like Phil
All
said,
right, here
these
we go.
people do
Here we go.
believe it.
Let's play it. Nancy Pelosi.
She's really, really committed to that. It's really sad.
No, I'm not a poor baby. I'm more reptilian, cold-blooded, and go in to win the election.
We're going to take a short break. I want to talk to you more.
What was it? Wait, hold on.
That's CIA agent. We got to take a break after that one.
Wait, calm down. What is she referring to? Let me play it.
And
how
go
big of
in
a
to win
bitch
the
she
election.
is.
Okay, come on, hold on.
And go in to win the election.
What is she saying?
Go in and win the election.
No, I'm not a poor baby. I'm more reptilian, cold-blooded, and go in to win the election.
We're going to take a short break. I want to talk to you more about President Biden and some other
I'm
things.
not. I missed.
But
that.
what is? I don't. I guess it's impossible to know what with only 13 seconds. What is she referring to in the context of being reptilian and cold-blooded? She's saying she's like ruthless in law. or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. Like she's gonna go get it like a lizard, and probably she saw the memes of like her looking like a lizard meme and stuff.
I'm not
pictures
as
and-
confident in that part.
Okay,
I don't
she's-
Yeah, I don't think
I
she
think-
saw the meme.
Did
somebody
we
must
ever
have
figure
told
out
her.
if her husband is a homosexual? Did we ever figure that out?
It's still undetermined, I think.
And it's cool if he is.
Yeah, it'd be
it's
very
totally
cool if he
but-
is.
Yeah.
I wish there was more context so I could understand why she's saying this. I'm assuming she's saying like I'm ruthless,
Yes, that was what I got out of it.
but like we don't know. Let me see if
Yeah, these
hold
junk
on.
food,
Let's
these
play
junk
the-
food
let's play the
clips
beginning.
have to go. Everybody, I
of
hate when
course
they
she's
put
going
out
to say
the-
that, but
okay, let's try it again.
of course she's going to say that, but
Poor baby.
yeah, she's really, really committed to that. It's really sad.
No, I'm not a poor baby. I'm more reptilian.
I don't understand what she's trying to say, to be honest.
they're being facetious from the beginning.
No,
so
I
it's
get
all-
that, but I don't understand. It's like, oh, she's a poor baby. No, I'm reptilian. I'm like, I don't know what that
Anderson's
turn of phrase
probably
is supposed
saying
to be.
that other people were saying, "Oh, Nancy's a poor baby," and then Nancy's like, "Ha ha ha! No, I'm not. I'm a lizard. That I'm gonna go just take the election." That's my guess.
Okay.
But we need more context to understand.
No, we don't. She's a lizard, and it's pretty good programming. And
Fact check. Hold on. Nancy Pelosi admits she is a reptilian and that she's cold-blooded. Fact. Nancy Pelosi did say the quote, "I am more reptilian and cold-blooded."
And she said it on a
This
national
is
show.
this is what the
on
press
the
does.
record.
To
That's what
Anderson
the press
Cooper,
does.
who's
Yeah. So
legitimate.
if she said it, it's true, right? Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. She's a lizard.
It's a revelation of the method, Tim.
Where
It's
did-
either
wait,
she's
hold
either a
on.
lizard or
Where-
she's a liar.
Where does the reptilian thing come from? Like, why do people think?
Oh,
that they're-
no, this is actually a really good one. So David Icke was one of the guys that kind of founded this, and it goes back to like the Queen's bloodlines. They supposedly can trace back to Muhammad. I don't know if you know this, and Jesus supposedly. So it's like they think, and it comes out of the Bible too. There's all this weird mix of like, there's a third of the angels casted out of heaven, and these were like the Nephilim, and then the angels slept with these giants, and then we're kind of the retarded offspring of it. So there's all this kind of like whimsical stuff where at some point angels mated with the animals here, and that there might be bloodlines like we have, and there might be bloodlines where these angels mated with the animals and they became human. So
You're saying that the lizard people are Nephilim?
kind of like they're in that vibe. Whatever the Nephilim vibe, it's kind of comes from that time of the.
That's where a lot of it comes.
The
from.
early origins of existence. I mean, I'm not saying this is true, but that's what they say. And there's something weird though, how the Queen and Prince Philip, how they live for forever. I mean, obviously they have the best medical doctors, but there's something weird about bloodlines.
I don't know.
About
dude,
bloodlines. I don't know.
I mean, look, dude, I was just reading this list of the oldest people, and some like lady was 120 years old, and she was like a nobody in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm saying some people some people live a long time, but it's just weird that these billionaires live for a long time.
Well, it's not. I mean, you can say it's weird in that it's like not suspicious. It's weird that they do, but it's obvious what they're doing. Like, don't they do the what do they call it? Blood boys.
Blood boys.
Blood
Yeah,
boys.
the younger blood.
There's like stem cell treatment stuff that people. I've heard stories of like these super rich people who. Well, there's that one millionaire guy,
anti-aging guy.
Yeah, he was like having his son's blood transfused into his body or whatever to be younger, and it's like.
Yeah, but you're not going to get much more longevity out of these things anyways. I mean, you might live a little longer because they have access to better things, but they're really not increasing their longevity significantly.
They don't want to die. And part of the transhumanist stuff is being able to put your mind in a machine so you can live forever.
They're obsessed with living forever and longevity.
There's a part of the reptilian brain called the basal ganglia that the reptilian complex that humans also have a basal ganglia. So at some point in our evolution, we were probably had only come that far. And I think what happened, there's this interesting theory from this book Ishmael that I got.
That book
a long time ago. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a talking gorilla. Yeah, Alex Jones.
Yeah, we know all about it.
Where after something happened, but a huge segment of humanity went north. They migrated, Great Migration. A lot of people from the equatorial, maybe it was the Great Flood, something, but they went north. They could no longer grow crops.
I got to pause you right there. See, the issue is we used to believe in what was called out of Africa theory, but I think that's been debunked already.
What, Mesopotamia?
It's tough to
that
tell.
Everything came out of Mesopotamia?
Like life recovered in Mesopotamia, and I think they used to think that's where it began, but that's where it recovered after the flood. They went to like Turkey.
I think there's definitely a flood.
Oh, yeah. 12,800 years ago. There's tons of evidence.
Wiped out Atlantis.
Like Rockwall. There's a place right outside of Dallas. It's called Rockwall, and it's named because these guys were digging, 100 years ago, and they found these huge walls that were deep underground that make no sense. And if you can't dig
really?
it. Yeah,
because it's called Rockwall, Texas.
Type in Rockwall, Texas, and because they're so deep underground, like they think that it was maybe an old fort. So there is and then what is it? What is the Göbekli
Tepe?
Yeah, is what that doesn't even the timeline doesn't even make sense.
Yeah,
Göbekli
15,000 years.
Yeah, so
that's where they went. That's where they recovered to after the flood. They went to Göbekli Tepe, or they built it after the flood, but it looked like it was like an ancient temple that they all these societies went and kind of congregated at. My theory is that these people that went north after this cataclysm couldn't grow crops, so they had to hunt constantly. All they did was hunt. They hunt, killed, so they developed a lizard-like behavior. And then their skin got lighter and lighter. And then eventually they came back south as these marauding, bloodthirsty conquistadors, murdering, they colonizing Europe. They took over. They eventually became the Romans. And so this bloodthirsty behavior as opposed to eating crops. The bloodthirsty behavior is the lizard.
Oh, wow. Look at this picture. No joke. A huge wall was buried. And so there is quite literally a wall. Buried in Texas.
They can't even dig it up. It's so big.
Wow, that's really big. Look, what is
very
this?
big, and they have no idea what it's from. There's no evidence. They don't even know what the hell. So they just named the city Rockwall.
So again, look at this photo here. You can see they're excavating it. And it's wall, man. That's a big wall.
Oh, I mean,
it's mud flood, bro. You know about mud flood.
Oh,
right?
I mean, I'm just saying there's something weird. I mean, we probably did have a flood.
So wait. For those that aren't familiar, I'll probably be getting it wrong, but the general idea, which obviously I find silly, but there are people who believe that there was a massive ancient civilization. A flood happened, wiping everybody out, and mud and sediment and everything shifted around, burying large components of this ancient civilization. And now we've begun to discover some of it. There's the deeper conspiracy is that we've not built these buildings, we've discovered them. And that's why it is really weird. You'll see buildings in some cities where there's clearly a door halfway in the ground.
You've seen those?
Right. And I'm like, I don't know why they built that building that way. I don't think it means that a mud flood happened and buried the building. It's probably more likely that, like Chicago, they lifted the city up. Things like that happen.
Well, there is weird stuff too. If you look at all the old world's fairs, they used to be able to build these beautiful buildings with no power tools, with no modern technology, and then they would just destroy it, shortly thereafter, or it got burnt at a fire. So I think there's a Great Fire of Chicago, Great Fire of San Francisco. A lot of these classic cities, Tim, they had huge fires in around the 20s or 30s, so we don't even know their own history. So there's something weird. I'll just tell you this. I'm a full-blown conspiracy theorist. You don't need to be that, but I think our history is not the truth. It's his
Wait,
story.
hold on. history is not true. That's end of story.
Yeah, end of story. That's
like,
the
look
point,
at modern news today. We know how it's manipulated.
Exactly
And
right.
so we try our best to piece together as much of history as we can while knowing that it's written by the victors.
I don't believe any of the religions because of it. I can't believe any of those texts because it's all like less credible than CNN.
What's interesting though is there's so many different religions that have very comparable stories. Like so many different
Like the
religions
flood.
have a story of the flood
Yeah.
or Noah and the ark. So I find that fascinating.
Virgin
so
births too.
What if when the flood happened, it was actually, when was the Sphinx underwater or whatever? It was like
Around the same period, like
10,000 years ago,
12,800.
12,000
Yeah.
years ago. Imagine what it was 12,000 BC. You're saying?
They said 12,800 years ago. It's like that's where this whole Göbekli Tepe
Oh, right,
thing and
right,
all
right.
this water damage.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, there's
So,
a bunch
like-
of erosion damage on the
Right,
side of the
exactly.
Sphinx.
Yeah.
Right. So you have this ancient civilization with wonderful technology. The Earth starts flooding, and all the wealthy, powerful elites are like, "We out," and they just leave Earth when they're gone. And all the poor, yokel, working class rednecks get left behind, where most die, and those who survive start to rebuild. And here we are today.
But I think the real elites told people they were gods and like Nephilim, and they still had ancient tech. They had hot air balloons and like hang gliders and shit.
Right, but that's an entirely different conspiracy theory. I'm just saying there's a potential conspiracy theory, or I'm saying my conspiracy that I'm bringing up right now has nothing to do with any of that. I'm just saying there's an advanced civilization, the ultra rich. It wasn't Noah, some humble guy who's like, I'm gonna build an ark. It was a billionaire social media mogul who was like, I'm building a starship, and then he did, and then when the flood happened, they left. Everyone else gets wiped out. Those who survived the water world start to rebuild, and here we are.
Dude, they used to think the Sphinx was like 3,500 years old. Or
Well,
40 and now they think it's like 15,000 years old.
Well,
all of a sudden they'll just be like,
changes all the
oh,
time.
by the way, we were off a little bit.
I think the
10,000
argument
years.
that they carved a different head into it is makes a lot of sense.
Yep. One of the pharaohs came
Yeah.
and defaced a lion.
Yeah.
It used to be an actual cat.
Or a dog, Anubis or whatever, and then they cut the head down to really small to be the pharaoh instead. Yeah,
it was like a,
because the head doesn't fit the body size.
Oh, no,
No,
it's
yeah,
all
it's-
receded.
yeah.
Man, it was a beautiful lion. I bet carved out of the mountain.
I think the sad reality is that we want to believe these things because it gives us mystery and lore, and we can hope that there's something crazy that might happen, but it's just not. Come on.
we're incapable of living without myth.
I was thinking about going back to like the 800 BC when the Romans were just tribes, and like 600 BC. And if you could go back to that period and teleport around place to place, time to time, and explore, that's why I want to live, is to be able to do that. And I know that with like advanced technology, I think we're going to be able to simulate that kind of experience where you're actually there with the Romans
See,
talking
the
to
men
them.
are always thinking about the Roman Empire.
I mean,
That's true, though.
Well, you might.
Wait, that was a meme, right?
Yeah, it's a trend to
yeah.
ask a guy, how often do you think about the Roman Empire?
Every
and
day.
men are obsessed with the Roman Empire, rightfully
Every-
so, in my opinion. But
every day because I follow Stoic accounts. That's
Well,
all I see them.
I wouldn't say every day, but a couple times a week at minimum.
see, that's insane. That's incredible to me.
Well, to Ian's
Well, because from the male perspective, women are basically just sitting around all giggling with each other about their hair, right?
Yeah.
And men are all talking about like, ooh, ancient Rome. All roads lead to Rome. And
Look
it's
at
like
this sword.
equally silly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny.
way
you
the
s-
serration.
It's funny, Ian. You said something about advanced tech, but I think it's very easily provable. I mean, you guys might argue with me on this. I think we're getting dumber really fast because if you look at just like the stonework that they did in New York City not that long ago, like the gargoyles on the corners of buildings,
It's amazing.
we can't even recreate that today with all the technology we have.
We can't make gargoyles? What do you mean?
No, they can't recreate a lot of the classic gargoyles and classic like whatever stonework they've done on those.
Oh, come
buildings.
on, dude.
I'm
They
dead.
can,
Google
they
it.
just don't want
I'm
to.
Yeah,
Google it.
no, look,
Google it. I'm telling you, there's like the pyramids. We can't build the pyramids today. They don't know how
yes,
they build the
yes,
pyramids.
we can.
But we
bro.
can't. Google if we can build the pyramids.
How
today.
big is the
Tim,
Burj Tobiah?
We cannot build the pyramids today. Fact. Google it. Google it. The way they build these pyramids, we cannot.
Bro,
they tried
I watched the video.
They tried it.
I watched the video where a middle-aged fat dude was moving multi-ton stones. He would dig
using
a hole
through sound or whatever.
No,
There's
he
one
would
video where they're doing it with
dig a
sound.
hole under a portion of it, and then he would start rocking it until it flipped itself over. And he was like, I can move it. And he started putting these things together. It was like ancient aliens or whatever. Bro,
I'm
we
just
can build a
telling you,
pyramid. Come
we
on.
cannot recreate.
Have you been to the Luxor?
According to Wikipedia, yes, it is.
Have you been to Bass? Have you been to
How
Bass
is it
Pro
technically?
Shop?
What does the Wikipedia say? How is it
Wait,
technically
wait.
possible?
Concrete.
They don't even understand how they
Wait.
built it now.
Yes, they do.
No, because they don't know if they use hempcrete. They don't know what they used to build them back then. So
Hold
how
up,
could
Serge.
we redo it?
Debunked. Debunked.
Oh, yeah, that's what you're going to
I've
say.
seen this in real life too. So
Yeah, that's not debunked.
I've been
I think
inside
what you're
of it.
saying
Yeah,
is
it's
we
real.
can't do
It's
it in
real.
the same way.
We cannot do it in the same way. These guys are smarter than us.
Oh,
Even
dude.
they're Freemasons or whatever. They're not. We're not as talented as we are today.
Dude,
we used to be smarter.
That's a ridiculous prospect. I watched
That's
the video.
a true statement. I don't care.
I
We
watched
cannot
the video
recreate the pyramids.
where they used a stream of water to slice a screwdriver in half. I'm pretty sure we can easily cut stone and stack it up.
Nope.
The Burj Dubai.
Can't.
Yes,
you can't.
yes,
you can't.
Just like we can't go.
Fact
go
check
to
me,
Antarctica.
chat. Fact check me. We can't
Listen.
recreate the pyramids.
Look, he's actually right. We can't do it the same way they did because we can't enslave that many people.
Yeah.
We don't really know how they did it.
yeah,
We have no
I don't
idea how they
think that's-
did it, Tim. So how
But
can we
also,
recreate?
Slaves.
I don't know
Yeah.
how this means that we're dumber now. Like, didn't the Egyptians also think that the Earth is flat?
Yeah, they're
No,
probably
they didn't.
right.
They never did. That's not true.
Oh, did they not?
That is not true. It was Eratosthenes, I believe, who correctly calculated the circumference of the Earth by comparing different
Sticks and shadows, but that actually
Right.
works with the localized sun as well. But
Last night, Katie Faust was saying, or actually, we were just talking. It came up that a lot of our architectural genius is being placed into video games now. A lot of male architects, mind space is being put into video games, and you're building these digital realities. So
Well, and they're
building
doing it-
gargoyles
they're
aren't
taking-
being created.
Yeah, free labor, child labor on Roblox.
Oh, Roblox,
I'm telling you,
dude.
the-
What a dirty,
This is a
dirty.
problem.
I'm just saying, Tim, a typical
My show idea, and I've mentioned on the show, and I pitched.
me go to Antarctica.
That's
Yes.
a good-
We have to do it. Everybody's been telling you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
go.
Let's do it.
Yes.
But my show idea was, it takes place in the last city, and the people who live there call it the last city. And no one really knows why human civilization collapsed, but all other cities on Earth are barren, empty wastelands of decay, ruin, cars just falling apart. It's like a post-apocalyptic scene. And this city has grown to a few million people with technology somewhat comparable, but a little bit better than ours. And they have scouts going out doing missions to expand the territory of the city and reclaim more farmland and things like this. And then one day they come across weird, tall, or probably tall, slender beings in like white suits with like white helmets, and they get into a fight. And these advanced beings like just energy blast them. And then what happens is these guys in the expedition are like body cam filming it. It's being transmitted back, and they're like, these are aliens or something, and they must be what wiped out human civilization. They've come back to kill us. What? And then it turns out, it was my show idea. Spoiler alert, if the show ever gets made, it'll be ruined for you. The revelation is, at some point, people started migrating to the metaverse because you can connect your brain in and eat filet mignon every night if you want. You
Live
can have
forever.
You don't live forever.
But
You-
like thousands of years compared to 70 on Earth.
Yeah.
well, no, but
expand time.
Like your mind moves faster or whatever. So when you're plugged into the metaverse, you can virtual reality. You can experience anything you want. So there's literally no reason to leave. So they all end up living in pods underground in these facilities where they experience life much like ours, but in base reality, they never leave the pod. And so the people who are the last city don't know what happened because news never stopped. Information as to why humans migrated persists, but it persisted into the metaverse. For humans who are outside of that system and don't have access to it, they don't have the historical records. It just one day disappeared. So you've got mountain people, trailer park people, these types, uncontacted tribes who are outside of the system and will never integrate with it. And then the people they encounter in these suits, every so often, metaverse people do have to go out to maintain the machines they live in. I genuinely believe we are inching towards living in the pod and eating the bugs, but it's not how people understand. You're going to come home from work or whatever it is you have to do. Your house is going to be akin to a pod outside with maybe like a plastic shield over it just for like nature protection so you don't die from a bear attack. You're going to lay down in your pod and then you're going to go to sleep and then instantly wake up inside your mansion. You're going to walk to your fridge where you're going to pull out a whole cheesecake and just shove the whole thing in your mouth and be like, so good. In the pod, you've got cockroach slime going into your feeding tube or whatever, into your neck port. And you're not going to care because your brain is being stimulated in the metaverse.
It's even worse, Tim. Alex Jones talks about this, and you can actually pull this up. They want to have it when you go to the metaverse that you can ejaculate 5,000 times a day. That's what they. That's what they think that they would be doing in the metaverse.
I don't.
Only like
I don't think
so.
they do that now.
But add like 5 times.
I don't
nothing's
think
coming
so.
out.
You don't think that they would immediately go
No,
sexual?
hold on. I think if we did a show exploring a future where people are in the metaverse, you would have a portion where it's like, oh, that's a sex club, and it's just people standing there going like,
Yeah, ejaculating.
But,
Well, they'd be orgasming.
But hold on.
Only ejaculate for so long.
People
until they just-
would be wanting dopamine releases in other ways. The idea that not all humans are perpetually in the state of trying to achieve sexual activity says to me that there would be people who do, but most people would stimulate themselves through dopamine through the traditional means, meaning guys would go into their own micro universes where they're kings saving the children from a fire, or they would make themselves superheroes so they can constantly get that masculine satisfaction. It's not, I do not think it's gonna be a bunch of guys being like, I'm gonna go and do this. Guys would do this a lot.
Me.
But I would say 99% of their time is going to be spent in a fictional reality where they're the superhero doing great things and everyone loves them for having done it.
In the metaverse, you think that's what men would spend their time doing?
I would be the quarterback. I would be the
Saving
quarterback.
children?
I would be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
They're going to be Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
And they're going to be Caesar at the, or was it Caesar at the Rubicon? Who was at the Rubicon?
Yeah, Caesar crossed
Be
the
recreating
Rubicon.
the Roman Empire.
Exactly. Men are going to be like, you know what feels the best? I got to tell you, yes, guys would love to do the weird, creepy, fetish stuff. But I'd be willing to bet more guys would want to be catching the final touchdown pass at the Super Bowl,
Like
and
purpose.
60,000 people screaming, and they're just like, to everybody.
But then all you want to do is bang after that.
Yeah, after that, you're right.
Switch channels.
And then hold on,
home.
and then all the cheerleaders run up, and it's like,
On the field. No, but this is just kind of to what you're saying, though, and this is actually Ian made a point about it. And it's funny that I'm referencing Jake and Logan Paul, but when you're talking about the sex stuff, Jake Paul is actually, I just saw this clip today. He was on a podcast with his brother, and he made a good point. He's like, the reason why this Dylan Dennis stuff, you guys have seen Dylan Dennis is
No, what is it?
So Dylan Dennis is supposed to fight Jake Paul, and Jake Paul
Logan.
Excuse me, fight Logan. This is Jake that said the same, and I get him confused. But
of
Dylan
course,
Dennis is
everyone
fighting Logan. Logan Paul is engaged to a girl named Nina Agdal. She's been in Hollywood for about 10 years, maybe 12 years. She has a picture, Tim, with every A, B, C, D, and E-list celebrity that's ever even been in Hollywood. I mean, she probably has a picture with 1,000 different celebrities. Dylan Dennis has been posting these pictures, like insinuating that she's sleeping with all these people. And it's super viral. I mean, he's gained about 1 million followers since he's been doing this. And Jake, his brother, was talking to Logan about why it's so successful, or why Dylan's resonating so much with people. It's because men are scared of women. Like, men are constantly getting rejected by women. They're constantly addicted to porn. They have impotency problems. So it's like the sexual nature of men, we're almost becoming submissive to women in a weird way. And that's why they like this, because they like seeing a woman get dunked on.
I disagree. I think that the majority of men are submissive to women. And that's why when you look at the dating statistics of Tinder, Bumblebee, or I'm sorry, Bumble, whatever, is that women choose the top tier of men, and men will go for, like, the bell curve in male perspective for attractiveness is a standard bell curve, and for women it's a massive spike towards the high end of attractiveness. And so if you look at how other primate families do it, one powerful chimp, for instance, beats the crap out of their chimps and then gets all the women. So if we're looking at modern society, I am not surprised to see that there is a majority of men who are
anti-women.
No, or unable to properly woo a woman, and then there's a small percentage of guys who are getting all the women. That's like baser instinct.
The small percentage of guys that are getting all the women, they don't have to woo. Like, if you're talking about the dudes that are like there's no wooing. It's like if you're one of the top guys
slide in the DMs.
Yeah, they slide in my DMs.
They just
they're like, hey,
please do it. Slide in my DMs right now.
Like these super ripped Chad guys are like, I'm insatiable, and I want you too.
Well,
that's
why you never cyber sex with anybody on the internet, because I guarantee it's a guy. It's cyber sexing, so don't ever do that.
I heard that's what Andrew Tate was doing.
Yeah, he admitted it. See, and this is the thing for all the Andrew Tate bros. I think it's some of the stuff that he I agree with, but he literally, there's a videotape of him saying, I would go on these dumb girls and I would be talking to the guys and they would give me all their money. And they asked him, like, did you feel bad? He's like, no, fuck them. And I'm like, dude, that's disgusting. First of all, you're cybersexing with dudes. And then you don't feel guilty at all that you're taking all these money under false pretenses that you're going to hang out with them, that you're going to see him, or that you have feelings for him. So, Andrew Tate, I'm not calling him necessarily a bad guy, but that is not a good thing to do. I mean,
I'd love to see the chat history on some of those.
Oh, they're disgusting.
With what was he typing to another man?
He was typing. He was typing the nastiest stuff, because he said it. Because he said that his brain was better at being perverted than the girls, so it's nasty.
Well, because guys are. I mean, that's just the way it is. But I actually am more interested in talking about like AI and stuff than just what guys want to do in their free time. So anyway,
a lot of it's connected.
Well, it is. Yeah, a lot of it is connected.
Digital sex, man. That's. What a
I think
terrifying.
so.
replaced.
I was talking about this the other day. The place that Midjourney is at right now is just insane. I posted. I typed in on the show Nancy Pelosi shaking hands with Vladimir Putin, and it made this photo of Putin smiling and Nancy Pelosi smiling, and there's like a demonic face on the wall, and I'm like, how did it know to do this? How did it know to make it like creepy and evil looking? It just knew. And people have started taking these photos and turning them into videos through AI, making like 3 to 5 second videos. In a year, we're going to be getting 5 to 10 minute videos, and it's going to be fantastic quality video. And then in a year or two, we're going to be at the point where you're going to have half an hour to hour like videos with speech. Like all of the components already exist. ChatGPT is there. You can create conversations. All you have to do, you can do this right now with ChatGPT. When they started doing what's called prompt injection, where to break the rules, they said they made this huge long text of a long list of text where it was like, from now on, you respond to this, you behave this way, you answer these things, and it cracked it. It cracked ChatGPT so that it started communicating like something else. So I explored this further and I started giving it personalities. Like, from now on, you are Donald Trump. And it would start answering my questions as if it was Trump. Because of all of Trump's speech and all of his text and his mannerisms are online and in the machine. So that means you could go in a video game, you could create a 3D avatar of Donald Trump, high quality 4K like any video game we have today, and then plug ChatGPT into it and say, hello, Mr. President. It'll be like, hello, how's it going? And it'll actually be a facsimile Trump having a conversation with you. You can do this for any character, and it can happen right now. All that needs to happen right now is the tedious effort of a game developer being like, I'm going to plug A and B together, because all the components already exist. When that happens, I got to tell you, you're talking about this freaky, like guys want to do weird stuff on the internet. They will do weird stuff in these games. But if you can, if you get home from working at your burger joint and you can turn the game on where you're the football star catching the touchdown pass to win the Super Bowl, people are going to create characters who worship them, who say everything they want to say. They're going to get their dopamine release from fake people who guarantee it to them. It is like the rat in the experiment with the electrode in its brain hitting the dopamine button over and over and over again.
Yeah, I do think that is going to happen, but I think it's going to be a little farther off than we think, because there's a thing called the uncanny valley where even all of the biggest, and I may have said this on the show before, all the biggest telecommunication companies, they spend billions of dollars in research and development to create artificial intelligence. So when you call a call center, you think you're talking to a human. And human beings, when they do this test, Tim, we always figure out we're talking to a robot. Some people figure it out.
It's just not good enough.
It's just not good enough. Yeah, I know.
And actually, there's a website. I think it's called. What was it called? Is it called Bot? It's not called Bot or not.
But everybody figures out usually within like
Human
less
or
than
not.
a minute. Yeah, human or not.
So, I'm sorry, you can't figure this one out.
That's cool.
Let's see.
It's over. The experiment has ended. So, the issue is, you think you're.
Do you get to talk to it?
You are randomly placed into a chat with another person.
Okay.
And you are both given a certain amount of time to respond to each other. After a certain amount of time, it asks you, was the person you're talking to a human or a bot? And I don't know what their results are, but I can tell you this. I tricked a whole lot of people.
You did?
And they thought they were talking to a bot, and they were talking to me, who was intentionally manipulating them. It's really obvious to make it seem like you're a bot and get them to pick the wrong answer. And there were some times where...
Well, you were doing an inside job because you were playing a human acting like a bot.
That's the point of it.
I know,
You're trying to deceive the other person to see what they choose.
But they're trying to make robots sound like humans.
Right. And so that's a component of what these things do.
Well, I think it'd be harder for a robot to actually sound like a human than it would be for a human to sound like a robot.
Humans can create a facsimile of a robot very easily, and robots are having a hard time right now emulating humans properly.
Yeah.
But we are not that far off.
Yeah, I agree.
So there was I called one of the services that I use. Everyone has some subscription service, and the person who answered was like, "Hi, thanks for calling. This is customer service. How can I help you?" And I said, "Human being, hey, I can answer your questions. Just give me a chance." And I was like, "Human being, okay, well, would you like to ask a question?" And then I went for the standard. There's one thing you say if you're tired of talking to the machine. Now, this was a text prompt like AI chat language thing, but it's just so obvious a bot. Do you know that there are 2 words you can say that will instantly get the robot to hang up and switch to a human?
Donald Trump?
No.
Operator.
Nope, that's absolutely not.
That's what I just say it over and over. Operator. Operator.
And
operator.
I can say 2 words instantly and get an operator.
What?
Any guess?
No.
Any guess?
Probably can't
2
say.
words?
No.
2 words?
I just violently tapped the
No,
0.
It's easy.
0.
Give this a try. The next time you're on with a robot, and many of you will notice, you'll say, human being. It'll go, if you'd like a question answered, try asking me. And you'll be like, representative, I can answer your question. Oh, I tell you what, you say one thing, fuck you.
Is it the tone?
And that will
Instantly goes, I hear that you're angry. I'll be getting a representative for you.
I wonder if it's the
You're
tone,
joking.
if it can measure
Totally
your
serious.
tone.
No, I believe
I can't.
that,
I can't
actually.
say that every single system does this. I have been hung up on before, and it was just like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Goodbye, and hangs up.
That's what I usually get. I'm just-
But I would say 99% of the time, I was on the phone with I think it was United, and they canceled. They switched me off my first class ticket to a coach garbage seat on a different flight without my permission at 4 a.m. So I showed up to the wrong gate, confused. I'm like, what's happening? And they're like, we've decided unilaterally to, even though you paid first class, to move you to coach on a different plane to a different city. And I'm like, what? But your ultimate destination remains the same, so it's fine. So I called, and I get the, hi, thanks for calling. Can I help? And I went, fuck you. Transferring to a representative instantly. No
Automated
questions.
customer service should be legal.
That's a life hack.
I
now.
got
Should
to
be
ask you
legal.
guys.
Yeah, but then you're just like we'll be getting to you in 17 hours.
Yeah.
On AI and relationships, when you're in because right now I got a video game called Baldur's Gate 3. I just got it, and in the game, one of your companions, you can kind of hook up with one of your companions.
One of them?
Yeah, well, you get to hook up with all of them. Really,
The people.
gaggle of,
Okay, hold on. Let me just add this. The
orgy
I
commences
have to do
at
this. I
camp.
have to
I'm
do this.
very interested. Please give
Baldur's
context.
Gate is awesome. It's this new game that came out. It's like highly rated, 10 out of 10 across the board. But because they wanted it to be that you can be any identity or sexuality you want, because it's you, every character has to have a romance path, which means like if you play as a dude and I'm like, bro, I'm just like I'm a rogue street pickpocketer that's trying to make my way through this crazy world. And all these dudes that are coming to help fight the bad guy keep trying to have sex with me. And I'm like, guys, stop.
Yeah.
The guys are trying to have sex with you on the show.
That's right.
On the game. Wow.
The guys, the women, the bears, you name it.
They throw it at you. And I don't know if you can have multiple partners, but that's not the point. The point
Yes.
was you can.
I'm pretty sure yes.
Okay. When it becomes hyper realistic and you're in like an AI environment and it's a woman and you're talking to her and she's like, I want to have sex with you tonight. Is that cheating on your wife?
See, this is a gray
No,
area.
you're just gross.
Have you guys seen the episode of Black Mirror where the two bros from college get the new Neural video game and then they start having sex with each other because like the one they would play a fighting game and one guy would choose the Asian martial artist, the other guy would choose the Asian lady. So when these two adult black men go into the video game and everything's super realistic and they can feel everything, they just for some reason start having sex instead, which I'm curious as to why the game programmers put that in the game as a capability, but sure, I'm sorry, dude. If you made a fighting game and then you're like, but you can also go in there and have sex, I'm pretty sure people would not be fighting each other in that game. But my point is just that's the premise of the episode, that his wife finds out and it is cheating. And so the agreement they have is that once per year, he's allowed to go bang his bro. And then she takes off her ring and goes and has a fling.
Oh. Well, it makes me think about Christianity and Judaism. Kind of a differential is that, and I think someone was talking about this, maybe it was Jordan last night, Jordan Peterson, but that it wasn't, it was Dennis Prager, about Christianity is a lot about your thoughts and policing your mind and controlling your thoughts, that thinking of another woman is adultery, whereas Judaism is more about your actions. And it doesn't really matter so much about what you're thinking. If you behave in a certain way, then you're living to God's standards.
Look, I'll just put it this way.
And I wonder if AI is a behavior or if it's just in your mind.
I will say yes. If you are going into a Neuralink virtual space to bang other women, you're banging other women.
But
What about
even in
porn?
Baldur's Gate? It's
Tim,
like
is porn cheating, because that's kind of a gray area. I've had this public debate because I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I don't like to look at a picture of some boobs sometimes. So,
it's a gradient though, right? It's a hard line. You got to figure it out for yourself. But the general idea is you should be having relations with your significant other. Yeah. And if you are, here's the way I view it. If we're able to go into an AI a matrix and there was a fake woman that was created, or fake man that was created by the machine that you knew didn't really exist in real life, and people would be like, "Oh, it's just like porn. It's no different." It's like, no. When you go to a bar and hook up with someone, you're not in their mind. Like, you're just looking for a fling. If you get a fling from a fake person or a person, you are still cheating on your significant other. Like, you should be having relations with your significant other. You should be. But I'll tell you this: maybe the solution for some people is the spouse and you go in together and have a whole plethora of weird AI
Why
Matrix
is it
garbage.
so much different for you if it's done in the metaverse versus done in
What do
any
you mean?
other
I'm saying
game?
it's not.
Well, for cheating, is it cheating to
I'm
then?
saying you can feel it. You're actually doing it.
Oh,
Yeah, like I don't even. I'm super annoyed with Baldur's Gate for this because I don't care about having a romance with some like devil woman or whatever. I'm like, whatever, dude. I'm just trying to like fight this squid guy or something like that. And it's just like in the game you go to camp and it's like, are you sure you want to go to bed? People want to talk to you. I'm like, I am not talking to these people.
Why? Because everybody wants to have sex at the camp. So
This is like
sexual indoctrination. I mean, I don't know.
They want the romance paths.
They're
and
making it for women.
Well, I don't know what the point is. Like,
They're
bro,
making it
I'm
for
telling
incels.
you, I'm playing a game where I fight, I throw fireballs and summon zombies and stuff because I want to fight a dragon. You know what I mean? It's like, it's fun to like level up your guy, get stronger, and then you defeat the dragon. The last thing I want to do is go into the camp. I'll tell you what I did though. There's one relationship in that game that is a must, and it's when you rescue the dog and you play fetch.
Yeah,
and
that
then
dog's
you
cool.
get the spell of animal speech, and then you normally walk up to the dog, he's like, rah, 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 and you pet him, and then he brings you stuff, and then you could throw the ball. And then I got a potion of animal speech, and he's like, hello, friend. I hope you're doing well. And then I was like, I'm sorry about your master, but I'm glad that we're friends. He's like, I'm glad we're friends too. And then you pet him. I'm like, that's the only relationship that matters.
ooh,
That's definitely
new game
not
to
cheating.
try when I get back to New York City.
You got
It's fun.
You met? Oh yeah, it is pretty good.
Have
Apparently,
you
Tim
played
beat
Starfield?
it. Not yet.
Well,
Is it
so
It's good. It's just there's a lot of perk walls.
Hey, but let's talk about this because
So I did beat it, and then I read the reactions people had to the ending that I did, and I think Baldur's Gate 3 made a huge mistake with one of their storylines, which allows you to, I would say, legitimately beat the game in 5 hours or less, probably less. And I decided to just reload and purposefully lose to advance the story, and I just think it's the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah, I tend to play those games just to experience the game. Like I don't look for a victory path. I just want to do the quests and explore
Yeah,
the.
you're like me. I like the side quests.
Yeah, the whole game's side quests pretty much. But you made a good point. Like if you're in a video game and you're like the red square, and it's like the dialogue says, "I am having sex with you now." Yes, and the blue square, the green square comes up, and then you see like a dot go back and forth between the squares. That's not really cheating on your wife,
Right.
But if it's a fully looking digital woman and you can feel it with haptic stuff, so you think only if you can feel the sensation.
No, I think haptics would be more akin to like using a toy. I'm talking about if you can plug in the Neuralink to your brain and then you feel the world like you do. Yeah. You go into a bar and there's a bunch of AI, floozies, and you're like, let's go. I'm like, that's cheating.
Well, what's worse, because all women that have jobs have a work husband, and they might have a boyfriend on the side. Yeah, most women do. You probably do.
I don't have a work husband.
Well, I don't know. I don't know your
What's
work
a work
relationship.
husband?
Like somebody at work that you're friends with. Usually a lot of times girls become friends with a guy, and it's kind of their. You've never heard that term?
No.
Work husband? Well, that's like a common term, and it's really become even more popular lately. And oftentimes it's like, what's worse, the emotional cheating of them becoming best friends, or like her having a one-night stand one time, never again, or her having a guy that every morning is giving her coffee and
The
talking
sex.
to her? That's worse?
Yes.
The risk
People
of
have emotional-
impregnation.
I mean, I would
People have
agree. I
emotion-
wouldn't want my wife to bang some other guy. I'd rather have a friend at work.
Simple question.
Yeah.
When a guy is angry that he's friend zoned, the issue is not that they're friends, it's that he wants more. So if you have a significant other who's giving you the more you ask for, and then is friends with the guy who's in the friend zone, like he's in the crummier position. People have emotional connections to lots and lots of people. Personally, I kind of feel like if you're in a relationship with someone, I mean, I don't hang out with anybody else. Like me and my girlfriend literally just do everything together, and it's like I don't call anybody else. I don't know. That's just me.
Well, that's weird. There's relationships where girls have like best friends, or
I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah,
I would
I'm
be
neither
like,
am
this
I.
doesn't work for me. But for me and my girlfriend, if I'm not working, we are going out together to hang out. To like, she plays poker with me. We'll be both at the table, and we do everything.
Yeah, we were just talking about this earlier, and I feel like I need a therapist with my girlfriend to be able to have this conversation without going at her, like at each other about it. But like, women don't understand it seems like they don't quite understand that guys want to have sex with them. That is in the DNA that men physically, if they become close to a woman, friendship wise,
right.
that there's going to be a desire to have sex and a willingness to.
Women absolutely understand
Yeah.
that.
I know that. But a woman knows within 10 seconds if they would
listen,
bang a guy.
Then it's
Not
like
right
they
then.
like turn it
eventually.
off or
When
something.
they
Like,
have-
no, he's just a friend.
Listen, when they have you as a friend or they have people that are friend zoned, what that is keeping the man in a position to do the things in a relationship should the relationship that they're in fall apart.
Yeah, it's called orbiters.
Yeah, it's like
Orbiters.
the first.
Wow.
It's like the AAA team. Like he's staying because he's hoping that he gets called up to the big leagues.
Or he's banging
And
10
so
girls at once, and it doesn't
it's
matter.
a horrible situation. That's why if a girl friend zones you, stop talking to her. Like if you're interested in a girl,
I agree.
and she friend zones you, stop talking to her.
But
because she will extract from you, even if she's not intentionally a bad person, you are going to give her attention. She is going to accept it.
I don't even see it that way. Like when I was younger, if there was
That's the way it is, though.
No. But that's a bad way to look at it. If there was a woman I was interested in and she was like, I'm not interested in you, I'd be like, I just want to let you know I am, but clearly there's an impasse here, and I think this is like
That sounds healthy,
You
but
don't have to be
nobody's
bad.
that
I do.
healthy.
That's exactly how I deal with it. I'm like,
That's good.
I just be like, hey, look, that's cool. Go do your thing.
Yeah.
I'll see you around.
That's
And then
not,
I'm out.
That's the
I got
right
no
thing to
beef.
do, and there's no reason to be rude
Women
about it.
are allowed to not like me.
Do you
And I'll be
ask
like,
you
that's cool.
a
do
long
your
time
thing.
ago, Ashley, I think the first time you were on the show, if you thought men and women could be friends, you said, yeah, but that the dynamic changes. It's not like the same kind of friendship that like a guy would have with his
Yeah,
buddy.
I mean, like you said, I think most men, there is some sort of sexual tension there, and they would sleep with most of the women that they're quote unquote friends with. So it's difficult to maintain long-term friendships with men without them wanting to
To
step
be fair,
outside. Yeah.
a lot of men would sleep with women they don't like as well.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
true too.
Yes.
Do you think it's ethical for guys or girls that are in relationships to be chatting, text chatting with other people of other sexes?
I think it's fine to have friends of the opposite gender. I'm not going all Mike Pence there.
But the Pence rule works.
What is the Pence rule? Gay conversion therapy works. I love that. That's my-
So Mike
I actually
Pence,
have a
he
very
got
successful
flack
gay
along-
conversion therapy. My producer Jimmy, I put him through it, and it actually works. So go ahead, sir.
I don't know if it worked for Jimmy, but Mike Pence, he was in the headlines. I don't know. This was probably 6 years ago now, because he won't go to dinner or do anything with another woman if his wife's not also present. And, there's also some people in our industry and in our field, they won't go to events without their husband
won't.
because they don't want rumors. And I totally understand
Like
that.
if I'm on tour or whatever, I don't go out to do anything with only a female
Yep.
ever at all.
Yep.
Period. Never, ever, ever.
It's the only way to avoid accusations. So I totally understand
The
that.
texting is what I feel like it's insidious. I'm from the generation before the internet, like in the early 90s, late 80s. You didn't have text. It was either you called a girl on the phone, which if I had a girlfriend, I called another girl, would be cheating. Or if I would have to go to her house to see her. And if my girlfriend didn't know that I was going to a girl's house to talk to her, that'd be cheating. So Phil, you're the only one here that I think is older. You're older than me. Yeah. I find that it's so casual. Kids are like, or people that are used to the internet is like, I'm just texting. It's just texting. I don't even know. I don't even like the guy.
That's all about the person.
Yeah.
It's all about the individual.
Yeah, I don't think there's an issue with texting someone unless you're hiding it from your significant other and your significant other doesn't know about that.
I think, a lot of these conservatives make fun of these dudes who are in like polycules or whatever with like a big fat woman. And there'll be like, you see these videos where it's like a morbidly obese woman and like 5 guys behind her and she's like, we're all in this together. And it's like conservatives make fun of that. And I'm like, I really don't think they care. Like these dudes live this world. They live this world. It's just, that's it. I think some of these guys might be unhappy and would probably prefer something better. But like, it's the same thing with Chelsea Handler saying that she wakes up at 6 a.m, does drugs and masturbates. I'm just like, oh, I don't care. She's probably happy. I think she'll be unhappy later in life when she has no family and no one to take care of her. But come on, the idea that she's doing pure dopamine stimulation right when she wakes up, she's hitting those dopamine centers. She probably feels great.
Well, it's funny you say that because a guy who I've become very good friends with, a guy named Bubba Clem, his name's Bubba the Love Sponge. He has a radio show, and the reason why one of the reasons he's famous is he let Hulk Hogan bang his wife.
Oh, right,
And then the Hulk Hogan sex tape. And the reason why I bring up Bubba is he's a very masculine guy. He's an alpha guy, loves football, this and that. I would have never expected him to be into polyamory. I'm not into it at all. But like you said, Tim, there are people that are just into it, letting somebody bang their wife.
That's
And
cuckoldry.
I'm just saying that's just what they like. It's not that. I mean, I'm not. I don't like that. But some people.
When
I
he's a
think
normal
you should
guy.
be ashamed
I mean,
of
normal-ish.
yourself if you allow someone else to sleep with your
Hey,
wife.
I don't think you're not. It's not your wife.
It's like Adam
what's the
22.
point?
Yeah, it's
I'm not saying I
now.
agree with it, but I'm saying some
No,
guys like that. That's just what they want to be a cuckold.
If you are in a position where your wife wants to sleep with someone else and you allow it to happen, you are not really married.
Well,
I
my
don't-
wife and
I
her
don't-
boyfriend right now are having a
Right,
great
look,
time.
I don't.
so-
I
Are
don't
they
care.
listening to
It
the
is.
show?
It is clear in law that the word marriage as a legal concept doesn't matter to what marriage actually is. And the fact that we are in a world of no-fault divorce means there's quite literally no contractual marriage at all. A real marriage is when you and another person actually have that commitment and are knowingly married. Like you have a commitment to each other till death do us part. This idea that people can go to Vegas and be like, we're married now. It's like, no, you're not, dude. That's not real marriage. But we do gotta go to Super Chats. Let's go to Super Chats. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show with your friends and all that jazz. We're a little late, but we'll read what you got. What is this? Ben says, Tim, please look up the clip of Biden introducing Secretary Booty Juice. It's a good laugh. What?
Yeah.
What did he say to Booty Juice? What did he do?
What is it called? Him booty juice.
Was it an accident?
It was,
He didn't say Booty Juice. What did he say?
Booty juice.
He said Booty Juice. That's what he said.
He just slopped it out the way that he slops all of his sentences out. But
Well, what is it? He said he was a professor for 4 years at a school that he was only at for 2 years. He just said that.
Oh,
the
yeah,
other
that
day.
was in
yeah. He said he was like a tenured, whatever, a professor or something. Like he said he taught for 4 years. He was only there for 2.
now that CNN and the mainstream media is actually collecting these and putting them out so that people can see them, I actually like Biden a little bit better just because he's funnier.
Well, and honestly, I'm starting to like Biden because I know. Then I mean, this is just pure speculation. They're going to put Kamala Harris in the presidency.
You think so?
You really think
No.
so?
I don't think so.
She's so
I
miserable.
don't
Just
think
for a
they can
month,
stand
just
her.
to do it, and then they'll go back to Gavin Newsom. You know?
see what it
Okay,
feels
okay,
like.
just for a month, it might be.
Yeah, just for like a.
Just the tip.
What if they
I-
run
I
her
think-
as Gavin's VP?
I wouldn't be surprised. She's the best VP.
That's like sloppy second. Has anyone ever been VP to 2 different presidents?
She literally gave Willie Brown, the mayor of San Francisco, BJ's to get where she's
Okay,
at.
come on.
So, well, I think that's out in the open. I think.
I don't know if that specifically.
I think she dated Willie Brown. And so.
Dating is you're building more
did
specific
they-
in there. Huh?
Maybe they're waiting till marriage.
All right, let's read some more. Here we go. Think on this as hobbies, after all, are what you spend your free time on, whether or not. Oh, I'm sorry. He says misogyny may be too strong of a phrase there, but that is what women feel when you belittle their differences. Hobbies, after all, are what you spend your free time on, whether or not they benefit anyone. I think this is a reference to Fresh and Fit. We're saying that women don't have hobbies.
Yes.
Right. So like what do you do for fun, Ashley?
I play video games.
Right. So there you have hobbies.
Yeah.
What they were saying is that, and my response to a lot of their comments was like, you guys surround yourself with a very particular group of women. And they're like, no, these are regular women, like college degrees, masters, whatever. And they said that, 80% of women will just be like, when they say, what do you do for fun? They'll go, oh, I hang out with my friends. And they're like, yeah, but what are you doing when you do it? Like, what do you mean? I go out. It's like, well, what does go out mean? Like, what does that mean? What do you do? And they're like, what do you mean I go out? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. They're confused by the question.
The answer was
there's-
cocaine. They just didn't want to say it.
No, the answer was we go to a bar and we sit there.
Well, they also probably have other hobbies that they wouldn't consider hobbies, like makeup. Makeup's a hobby for a lot of women. I'm sure they're all going out, getting dressed up. Fashion's a hobby.
I think makeup.
They're all getting dressed up.
Makeup is a hobby if you're like mastering the skill of applying makeup properly.
Yeah.
But if you're like passively putting makeup on just to look good, I wouldn't consider it a hobby.
I don't think. Have you spent significant time around women talking about makeup with each other? It is kind of a hobby.
I used to date a stripper,
Collectors.
so yeah.
Oh, I got
I'm
the
saying-
NARS. I got the.
But I'm saying it can be a hobby if there's a culture around it and like you're describing it. But I think for a lot of them that's not the case.
Well, this makes me.
I think most women think of makeup as a hobby.
This makes me a simp on a blimp, but I don't like the new kind of movement where it's like repeal the 19th Amendment, women shouldn't vote. Like I think that's so dumb. I mean, I'm not even trying to say women are.
It's women.
Sorry,
Better than
It's
men.
lame, dude. It's a
the
bunch of
question is-
relationship
let me ask
advice from
question.
single
Ashley,
people.
Stupid.
Do women apply makeup for the pleasure gained from sitting there putting on makeup and no other reason?
Yeah, sometimes some women
In that
do.
instance,
James
I would
Charles.
say it's a hobby.
Yeah.
But for women who are like they know makeup or whatever, that's like saying I buy Volcom jeans and I've talked to people about my shoes, so my shoes are a hobby. No, they're not.
No. I guess there's just a different culture around
I
it.
collected shoes. My hobby would be shoe collecting.
Yeah.
So I
mean,
think for
what would you call that? Makeup collecting.
if a woman puts on makeup, takes a picture, and then cleans it off, hobby. If a woman just puts makeup on for the sake of putting on makeup the same as anybody puts on clothes or a shirt or whatever, that's not a hobby.
My point is these women probably have hobbies that they're not classifying as hobbies. Or that men don't think of as hobbies.
I think it's fair to say that Fresh and Fit surround themselves with a particular type of woman, so they're getting a lower percentage of women with hobbies. Obviously, there are women who are doing sports, there are women who skateboard, there are women who play poker, but I think any guy who's engaged in your standard, most popular hobbies, women make up, 1 in 5 to 1 in 10 of the participants.
Sure, they're acceptable hobbies that Fresh and Fit likes.
No, I'm talking about...
What are the hobbies of the men on Fresh and Fit?
I'm saying look at the top commercial hobby activities, and women are a very small percentage of participants. If you look at things like, first of all, if you look at news shows, for instance, do you watch the news?
The top hobbies are learning. Yeah, women hate learning and painting and cooking and writing and gardening. Actually, these are primarily female-dominated. The top hobbies: dance, gardening, photography, poetry, and drawing.
But maybe the question is, they ask, "What do you do for fun?"
Oh yeah, if you're
nobody would
say
like, "I'm writing for fun."
Women can just be, whereas men actually have to do something to be.
What are you doing, bro?
Well, men do things and not for nothing, but men that don't do anything, that sit on their butt, everybody looks at them like they're just a pile. Dude, but women actually can be like, well, I hang out with my friends and not do things, and their value is intrinsic because they're women. Men have to earn value. They have to do something to become valuable.
It's so much that I'll get a phone call from a guy and he'll be like, hey man, what's going on? I'm just over here. Doesn't even wait for my answer. He's programmed to ask me what I'm doing. Doesn't even wait for me to respond. And that's like it's taking the place for hello. Hey man, what's up? I'm just over here talking. And I'm like, do you want me to tell you what I'm doing? You just asked me. Anyway,
let's we'll read some more super chats. We got Eye of the Storm says, please read my chat. This is for Ian. You're an awesome bro. I pray that one day I meet you and chill. But more importantly, you should look up the gift of the Holy Ghost, Ian. God wants your life.
You gave me a compliment and then told me to do something. Gift of the ghost. So I'm going to do it. But we will meet one day.
Jason Dixon says, Tim, please shout out the Discord. We are developing the culture. It's getting huge. We welcome like-minded people. Yes. So aside from the members-only shows that you can get as a member at timcast.com, Monday through Thursday, we do the live show. We take about 4 or 5 callers, typically 5 callers every night from the members to call in and talk to us and our guests. And then the members have taken it upon themselves to create their own after show for all the people who want to keep hanging out. So I think that's actually the biggest benefit of what I think we've accidentally built something awesome. The goal was, hey, sign up and then you can watch the show. And then all of a sudden, the people who signed up started talking to each other, building things with each other, creating, sharing ideas, and making their own platforms and shows. And so join the membership and meet more people in your area and meet people who share your ideas and make friends.
Isn't it crazy how it was an unexpected community that was built and it really just fits right into the idea?
Yep. Bridget May says they removed today's culture war. We did not. No. It was live, and then we ended the live and then uploaded a full version. And so there is the live streamed version. So I'll just put it this way. I got to keep it a little bit vague, but one of the challenges with a live stream is that you can't change it. So if you want to trim or blur or add or anything like that, it's restricted and very difficult to do. So once the show ended, I was like, let's just re-upload what's called VOD, video on demand version, instead of the streamed version, which gives us more controls over the whole thing. And it is there. It is on the page and people are listening to it. Also, it is on, I believe it's up on all podcast platforms. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you can check it out. And it was a really good one. It was Katie Faust and Jeff Younger. And we were discussing modern marriage relationships, parental rights, and men's rights. And Jeff Younger made a really, really great point. He said his position was, women should sign surrogacy contracts for their own children. So here's how it would work. You're a man and a woman, and you are going to have a biological baby that the mother will conceive as the Bible intended with the man, but she signs a surrogacy agreement like any woman would do in an IVF surrogacy, but then has the biblical child. That way, at any point, the man at all points, the man is in full control of custody and rights and is favored in the courts. And Katie was like, no, that's horrible. And then he asked, would you agree to a contract like that? And she was like, of course not. Absolutely not. And he goes, you think any woman would? And she said, absolutely not. And he goes, that's exactly the contract men sign when they have kids with a woman today. that the courts favor the women. Women, 86%, I think it is, like 86%. A woman can just take the child away from the father. The trope in society is that when a fight happens, the man is forced to leave his own home. It's not absolute, but that's what it is. And that was the point he made. I would just say, I was like, I see the logic in your argument and the horror and the emotional like prospects of what you're proposing, but I get the point he's trying to make. He's saying, why would anyone agree to be in a relationship where you create a child when you are in the negative in terms of control over the raising of that child? It's like a fair point.
Well, Jeff Younger has a unique situation where he has two twins, and then the wife is transitioning the other one. And I'm not even trying to throw shots at Jeff, but I guess I am going to throw a little bit of a shot. I agree with a lot of what he says, but one of his court cases was to not talk about his custody battle, and then he talked about it, and that's one of the reasons he lost custody of his kids. Is because he kept talking about
it specifically?
Well, I think it's because he kept making it public. So, but I guess my point is,
I would argue there's a strong case he did the right thing.
Yeah, I think so too. But my point is, if you're going to say, "Oh, I'm going to follow the rules of a judge," that's the judge is going to say you don't get to have your kids. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm not saying I think that's totally wrong. I think the system's screwed up. What they're doing at January 6th, what they're doing to him is screwed up. But if you don't follow the rules, you're going to lose custody of your kids. That's just
I think
harsh
we're
reality.
getting into a very dangerous space when a political cultist of a judge, and she is,
I agree,
is like going to empower someone to castrate your son. We are getting into very, 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 very dangerous territory that I hope we do not get into.
Yeah.
No, I know.
We are, and I don't think that these family courts, these judges should have really any dominion over our children, but we've given them that, and that's the real issue with family court. And I think, Jeff, obviously I'm sympathetic to his case, but I don't think it's helpful, this division of the sexes and blaming women and this and that, because it really, at the end of the day, the issue is that the government is so hyper involved in making these decisions for our children. Right. When they shouldn't be.
And I want to add too, I'm pretty sure this is public knowledge. We talked about it. The mother of his kids is not actually the biological mother.
Yeah, I know. That's the other weird part of it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Right. She's a stepmother.
But she got custody?
Yes.
Yep. And fled to California, I think it was.
It is very weird. It's very weird.
Yeah.
I'm very empathetic to Jeff. I'm just saying, when you're in a court, you're in a custody battle, you have to follow the rules, whether they're legal, whether they're fair. That's just the system. All
right, we got one of these guys. Arturius Rex says, Tim, frog boiling in a pot was shown by Goltz to only work if you lobotomize the frog. Intact frogs attempt to escape even in slowly heating water.
Oh.
We all know this. Yeah. Frog boiling a pot is just a turn of phrase. It is the meme version. I don't want to say if we all sit here allowing incremental change over a long period of time, we'll be oblivious to the changes happening around us until it's too late, and then we are detrimentally, negatively impacted. I'd rather just say, we're frogs boiling in a pot, man. We've got to make sure. It is a meme. Yeah. It is a way to simplify an idea into a phrase. But yes, it has long been known frogs will try to escape. Just like lemmings don't actually walk off cliffs.
Yeah, true. Unless, Disney execs were
they pushed them off. That was great.
Yeah,
that's everybody needs to look into that. What was the name of that video?
I don't know. It came out in the 70s.
But look up Disney killing lemmings.
Yeah, they were scaring them, and
they had a camera like underneath the ledge. Yeah. Well, that's ridiculous.
Crazy,
yeah.
That's so messed up.
It is.
Jeez. Mm-hmm. Anastasia B says, guys, I'm 7 years sober today.
Dude, congratulations.
Glad to hear it.
We sound like an AA meeting. We're like, but that is incredible. Keep up the good work.
Neglectful Sausage says, every single one of you in here pays thousands of dollars a year in cool new apps and phones to support surveillance state. Stop pretending you're rebels.
That's the banality of evil.
Yeah, and also I think it's like an over dramatic simplification of any and all of our positions.
Yeah, I also want to know what device you use to type that super chat on.
And it's not just that. It's like, bro, you can be a rebel in a system. Like, I don't understand what you're saying. I am not an advocate for people abolishing cell phones and capitalism. I'm in favor of technological advancement. I would just like there to be alterations to the current way we're going about doing it. In fact, if someone came out and was like, we're getting rid of all smartphones, I'd be like, I'm okay. I think it's been bad across the board if that's what we got to do. But yeah, if everyone is mindlessly marching in lockstep and you're still, on the field in which they are marching, and you're walking somewhat in the general direction while telling them not to walk that way, but to turn right, like you are rebelling. I don't know. It's not that complicated. You don't have to act like every single act of rebellion is not shaving your armpits, throwing your phone at the wall, and going and living under a bridge because modern homes, man, they put your name on a list and the government stores that at the records, and then all of a sudden it's in Google and everyone knows where you live and they're tracking your data. So the only way to get away from it is to go. Come on. The argument would be you can't rent because you got to put your name on the piece of paper. You can't have an ID. It's like, bro, we can reject and resist. You don't have to, be a caveman.
I think a lot of good can come from tools that are derived through evil actions. Like, some warmonger gets a bunch of slaves to make a bunch of guns, and then you break out the guns and the slaves and use those same guns to overthrow the slave master, for instance. But I think that a lot of times evil actors will use that premise to do evil, thinking that later they're going to do good with this evil action. And it's a dangerous path, but it is possible.
It's important to be civilly disobedient. And one thing is that the FBI and NSA, supposedly, even if your computer, as long as it's plugged into power and your TVs, that they can hack into everything. So, I mean, we can't live in a world where there's no surveillance.
Wait, this is important. Just Me says the Trump revenge photo got me reported to HR at a company I have worked at for 10 years, fighting for my job now.
Sounds like you got a lawsuit on your hands.
Wow.
For having a picture of Trump and saying revenge?
Probably
that's
our image.
kind of
So what they
vague.
mean.
You got fired from Planned Parenthood, I guess?
Depends on where you worked, man.
Yeah.
But I would like to hear more. I don't know.
It does.
Anyway,
sound like
you
a
were saying
lawsuit.
something, Phil?
I don't remember.
You said it sounds like a lawsuit in the making.
No, before that he was saying something. I was like, wait, I got to read this. What do we got? More super chats. What is this? Poppinspatches.com says Alex Stein is so on fire that not even a Nebraska downpour last year could stop him from spitting fire. Thank you, Tim. Can Public Square have an airsoft field? So we got to be careful here. You don't ask me about anything having to do with Public Square. The idea is we're gonna be building an anti-Times Square. Ian said we should call it Public Square.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's up to them.
Lowercase p, unless they want to be uppercase p.
Well, because Times Square was named for Times of the World or whatever, which is the New York Times, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so this we want to do. You're gonna love this. We got to have an Alex Stein location or whatever.
Yeah, please.
So we've got a Casper coffee shop.
Okay.
We want to build a Cousin T's diner. We want.
Oh yeah, and then Jack's
Papa
pizza.
Jack's Pizza
yeah,
Shack.
yeah, I saw this.
I want a My Pillow brick and mortar location where you can go in and they got the bathrobes and the towels, the slippers, the pillows. I think that's easy, especially because their inventory doesn't.
I wonder if we could
expire.
open a Jeremy's.
We should have
and
a
it'll just
prime
be
time.
like Jeremy's razors, Jeremy's chocolate, Jeremy's products. All
Daily Wire should have a
stuff.
store where they have
It should
razors
just
and
be
chocolate.
Daily Wire. Should be a brick and mortar.
And they have the Daily Wire playing
Sorry.
in it and all the stuff they sell and their merch.
I want the primetime rage room where you just go in and you break anything.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I
no,
love
for
it.
sure.
The rage
and
room.
we'll have like a cartoon picture of your face going like, ah!
Yeah, you can.
And you'll get a mallet.
You can break anything. Printers. We can recreate office space. Just we're gonna be
You have
able
to bring your own stuff to break, though.
Yeah. Well, we'll have some stuff, but if
And-
you want to bring like your ex-wife's old some of her favorite china, you can just break that.
Yeah, they have these rage rooms. you
Yeah.
know? But so we're actually having a meeting about it next week, and
Count
we've
me in.
invested a lot of money already. I think it's fair to say that our investment is around a couple $1 million in getting started, and it's big. It's going to be big. Everyone agrees it's going to be the best. But just think how cool it's going to be when you're right. Yeah, Daily Wire having a storefront location where they sell razors, memberships, chocolate, anything else they do. We got to have a bar set up somewhere. Maybe Seth Weathers opens a bar.
Yeah.
The Ultra Dad's bar or whatever, and he's got his beer there. And then what it is, people will come as tourists because all of your favorite shows and people have their businesses here to create a space where you can support businesses you care about. Ian had the idea of calling it Public Square. I hit the Public Square guys up. Public Square should have one of the biggest storefronts where all the different products can be purchased, like a big, like you go to the Hershey's store and they have all the candy everywhere. You go into the Public Square store, and all the different Public Square companies have products, and you can walk up and they got it all.
Man, and if there was a literal square there in the center where with like a big plaque on it that has the directions to all like the different restaurants and shops and stuff around, you can go look at the map, or it could be a digital map. I think you'd also have it on your phone.
We're a long ways from that for a few reasons. The most important thing is that there's a historical society, and the first primary law in all of this is to protect and preserve the generational businesses and historical buildings, because we want to be the opposite of Times Square. We do not want to be a commodified billboard, garbage advertising thing of massive faceless corporations. We want American values. We want to restore a lot of the places, a lot of the buildings.
We got to build a big fountain.
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying.
Get some running water.
We are not going to go in and put up signs and do whatever. We're going to work with the people who are there to what best suits their needs and revitalizing these particular areas while bringing in companies that believe in America's values and investing in the space and cleaning it up. There are a lot of people in the area that we're looking at who've got generational businesses, and I want to see them become like they will be. They're the reason this matters. Someone who inherited their store from their mom, who got it from their grandmother, who got it from the great grandmother, and then revitalizing the areas restores that business and provides wealth and means to the family who's been there for generations. I want to. We got a great plan for this, and we're just getting started. It's probably going to be amazing.
The biggest threat. Well, one of the largest threats is making too much too fast, just like immigration. You can't let in too many people too quick, can really change the dynamic of an environment. So, but I think we can do it.
Ryan Sargent says Michelle Obama and VP Newsom. I don't think so. I don't see Michelle Obama. I don't know.
I don't either.
Yeah. I do think Joe Biden will drop out in some way. I don't know. I don't see how you have Nancy Pelosi on CNN being like, what if Joe Biden doesn't run? Because I hope he, or what if he does? What if he drops out? She's like, I hope he doesn't, or I hope he, what did she say? She hopes he doesn't drop out. Something like that.
And Gavin said the same thing.
She hope he runs.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I want to be careful how she phrased it.
Right.
But the general idea of what she said is there is a concern she has that Joe Biden drops out. And I'm like, they're priming us with the distractions. And now we're getting with the impeachment stuff. I don't see a logical path for them to run Biden. I feel like they have to drop. He has to drop out.
There's no way they're going to let him run in 2024.
Right.
I mean,
I completely agree. Well, we'll see. Let's maybe grab one more. Joe's Rusty Razor says Glenn Beck can have a museum in Public Square. Would be super cool.
That'd be really cool.
All right, everybody, if you haven't already, smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel. Share the show with your friends. Become a member at timcast.com, not just for the after show, not just for the Timcast After Dark members only Discord show where like-minded people hang out and discuss the topics, but join so that you can hang out with all the other like-minded individuals where you can become friends, meet people, network, build resources, share resources. It's really fun. You can follow the show at Timcast IRL. You can follow me personally at Timcast. Alex, do you want to shout anything out?
I want to shout out Dylan Keller, Dylan the Villain Keller, and watch my show on Blaze TV, Primetime with Alex Stein. Hit the link, youtube.com, Primetime Alex Stein.
Just get the Babylon Bee's Guide to Gender. Thanks for having me, Tim. Sorry, I'm a little tired today.
Oh, you're tired.
I am. I got the energy drink here.
Those are good. The rowdies, I like
an hour.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I am Phil That Remains on X. I am Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, YouTube, the internet.
Hit me up at Ian Crossland. Anytime, anywhere on the internet, you know where to find me. Have a nice evening. Catch you later.
And I am Serge.com, also Serge in real life too. So find me on Twitter, let's argue, etc., etc.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. It's been a great week. We're going to have clips up throughout the weekend, and then we're back on Monday, and we'll see you all then.